Lethal, you're here. Welcome. This is the False Face Show, and it's called the False Face Show because you need a name. And that's all that there is to it. Welcome. Thank you for clicking. I'll not keep you long. I know why you're here. Just wanted to get through a wee bit of background and admin before start. This is the first one of these that I've done, and really it came about because during the infamous shitty winter, the shitty Irish winter of 25-26, I thought it might be a good idea to try and combat reality by pursuing a lifelong ambition of recording conversations with people that I admire. And that's what's happened. It so happens that the first person I've spoken to is Nicholas Barker. And that is why this inaugural episode is called Nicholas Barker on Everything. You may be aware Nick's been working through a life-changing health crisis the past couple of years. He's actually on dialysis and in line for a kidney transplant, hopefully this year. But as a consequence, his primary source of income as a touring musician has been wiped out because dialysis and grind blasting are incompatible commitments for the body's energy resources. The metal community, and it's been beautiful to see the past few years. Really, we are a community where people, all of us, and we all of us look out for one another. Have been brilliant. Shown Nick an enormous amount of love and support through his GoFundMe page these past few years, and I would ask that you take a look and do the same. All the details are linked below in the description for the video, and I'm going to have a graphic reminder on screen for the duration of the video version of this episode throughout, which you'll probably want to take a look at. I mean, Nick talks with great candor about his health struggles, what it's meant for his lifestyle, the impact on his mental health, and a lot of the sort of difficulties that really you don't want to hear that somebody that you look up to is having to struggle through. And I'll hit this point now. Like, Nick is my idol. He's probably my favorite musician of any stripe on the planet. I think he's in a class of his own, and he's so good on the drums that he barely even qualifies as an influence for me because I can't hang with Nick Parker tracks at all. Do you know what I mean? If that stuff comes up in shuffle when I'm playing along to something on the drums, I either got to stop and listen or skip it because there's just there's no hope. So what you can expect from the episode, what you can expect from Nicholas Barker on Everything is just that. We talk drums, we talk technique, gear, touring, tour management, composition, arrangement, guitarists, favorite musicians of all kinds. We talk about Cradle of Filth, Brujeria, Dimmu Borgir, Lock Up, Anil Nathrak, Shining, Obskkvult, Liquid Graveyard, Twilight of the Gods. Really, as many credited appearances as Nick has. I tried to get through absolutely all of it in this, close to 3 hour chat. We talk working with Danny Filth and the Cradle of Filth management, working with the BBC on the documentary Living with the Enemy, leaving the band, joining Dimmu Borgir, living with Dino Cazares from Fear Factory in LA. We talk about Aussie's last show, fucking acupuncture, Manjaro, and of course working with the much loved and much missed guys that Nick played with over the years, Jesse Pintado, Juan Brujo, Pinche Peach, Thomas Lindberg. Three guys all died in the last couple of years, and Stuart Anstis, of course. But before this starts, just a last wee reminder, please, to check out Nick's GoFundMe. You'll get him on Instagram as well at officialist. Officialist, man, that is so hard to say. I'm going to be level with you. I've tried to record this intro 5 or 6 times, and every time I try to say official Nicholas Parker drums, it's official Nicholas Barker drummer. It's not officialist Nicholas anything. I'm on there too. You'll get me at the False Face Photography, and if you like what you see, perhaps if you subscribe to the presentation of my interests, then you'll be first to hear about it when I do some more. And listen, all YouTube algo bullshit aside, if you're here, thank you for taking a look, taking a listen, choosing to spend any of your free time with me at all. This is not just to drive content platform engagement. I appreciate that with the entirety of my heart. And if you like it, tell a pal, spread the word, send them Nick's way. It's all class. It is genuinely. It's a stone cold gas to have you here. Look, I've talked long enough. Here's the chat. It's not an interview as such. More of it's a go with the flow, open-ended conversation. We jump about back and forth, but Nick is such enjoyable company. He's knowledgeable, experienced, honest, so generous with his time, and crucially funny as fuck as well. It'll fly by. Here, come on and see for yourself. When I spoke to you earlier, did you tell me you'd just come out of acupuncture?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got some herniated discs in my lower back, and
Okay.
I've got some nerve issues down my left leg, and it's kind of affecting how I play drums. So my wife, she's my biggest advocate. She's not a big fan of Western medicine, and she said, "Look, just give acupuncture a try. What have you got to lose?" And it's the first time I did it, and I tell you what, mate, I feel fucking great.
That's excellent. Is this resulting from years of playing, do you think?
I think it's from years of playing, and also like 30, 40 years of like fucking pumping drums around,
Yeah.
you know, and also when I play long sets, especially like back in the day with like Dimmu and Cradle and stuff. Um, once I start to like my body starts to fatigue, I'd start to slouch. My posture really changes,
Yeah.
and it's I think that's also a contributing factor to the condition. Plus, I'm in my 50s now too, so it's
Yeah.
like when you get to your 50s, like everything starts to fucking ache and creak, and
Yeah,
you
your
know,
twinges start to accrue, don't they?
yeah, they really
Yeah.
do. You know,
This
but
well, this,
yeah, I feel great. I'm gonna it's gonna be a regular thing for me because if I feel this good after one session, then
yeah,
it's only a good thing.
nice one. So how long what does that look like? How long do you be in for?
It's an hour session.
Yeah.
She just we worked on like certain points on my body which are problematic, and she stuck me full of needles and then gave me electric shocks,
Yeah.
and I had the cup thing also, which was a little bit weird,
Would you say
but
you went in with an open mind, or were you somewhat resistant
no,
to it?
no, it's totally open mind. I mean, because like you know, a lot of the doctors here are quite dismissive. They just put a condition down to like neuropathy, and and, my wife, she also had some herniated discs in her lower back, so she knows all the symptoms.
Yeah.
And so we went in together, and I feel great. And yeah, it's it certainly beats Western medicine.
Well, it's just I mean it's just another plus in the ongoing health journey, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. You know,
Um, yeah. If you don't mind me saying, you look really well.
thank you,
Not
thank
that
you.
I'm not saying I expected you not to look well, but like for one thing, the beard fucking suits you. That's a
Well,
good look. But
it's I live in northern British Columbia now in
yes,
Canada, and it's actually snowing right now. So the beard just creates a little bit of insulation for the fucking face
you see, that's the thing.
because,
We've
mate,
we've
we got like sometimes it drops to like -30 here.
yeah,
It's like fucking brutal. It really is.
we've been having a little bit of a cold snap over here in the UK recently as well. And I mean, it's got everybody down, but it's I kind of I didn't want to bring it up because I knew obviously where you lived, and I thought, yeah, those guys are dealing with that probably pretty much all year round. You're living in a cold enough
No, I
time that
actually the summers here are amazing.
oh really
It's kind
yeah.
of like it's kind of like Scandinavia.
Hmm.
Like the winters are bitterly cold, but the summers are absolutely beautiful.
How long have you
So,
been over there?
it'd be 2 years in August.
2 years.
You know,
Um,
yeah, no, my wife's Canadian, and she, we were dating when I was living in the UK, and she basically just turned around to me and said, "You know what? You're gonna fucking die waiting for a kidney on the NHS if we stay here. Let me bring you to Canada. Let's move to Canada.
yeah,
Where the healthcare system is much better. And they're a lot more attentive. I mean,
yeah.
it's still, it still has its problems. It's still like, free healthcare,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's much better than the NHS.
Well, listen, I mean, you're a lot further along, likely than you would be over here. You mentioned recently that so you're likely to get a transplant, maybe not necessarily this year, but like as soon as the source becomes available, putting it
Yeah,
delicately.
Yeah, yeah. To be to be kind of crass about it, I mean, I've just got to wait for someone to die.
Yeah,
That's got my
there's no way
my
around it.
blood type.
Yeah,
Um, Apparently, I'm blood type O, which is not that common.
yeah,
So, you know, yeah, my wife, she's actually signed up for the paired donor program, which means she's prepared to give one of her kidneys um, in order for me to bump up the queue.
nice one. Yeah, okay.
And I've just got to drop about 10 more kilos, which, it's like an ongoing journey because they've got to make the incision on the side of my stomach.
Yeah,
And that's where, the concentration is, if you like.
yeah,
Um, and it's, years of like just being on the road and not taking care of myself, really, that's put me in this predicament. But it's really opened my eyes and made me realize, just how important your health is.
of
You
course.
know,
Yeah. And in terms of the weight loss thing, you mentioned in another chat recently that you're on. Is it the Mounjaro that you're taking? Mounjaro,
yeah,
I
I
never
was
know how
I
to
was
say
on
that.
the Ozempic to start with,
Yeah.
but the side effects were fucking awful. I mean, it was like
Yeah,
it was like
what were you dealing with? Like,
it was like having a constant hangover. Like the
yeah.
worst fucking hangover you can imagine, like nausea, puking, shitting, and just like a general feeling of just fucking like death.
With
You know.
that, in terms of like the results, was it doing what it was supposed to do despite that
Oh yeah,
awful? Yeah.
yeah. But the side it was horrible.
Yeah.
Like it totally suppresses your appetite. But when you do eat, you just puke and shit. And
Yeah, that's no fun.
yeah, and it's you can't you know you can't be on like dialysis 4 times a week when you've got the shits.
Yeah.
it doesn't work. It's not
No.
compatible.
That's just a life not worth living, really, is it?
It's really not. So, a friend of mine told me that Jeremy Clarkson actually was on the Ozempic,
Okay.
and he had exactly the same symptoms and side effects, and he switched to the Manjaro, and it works out so much better.
Nice one. So you're getting on
Yeah,
all right on that then?
yeah, I'm doing great, doing great. It's an uphill battle because I've always been a foodie,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, all the bad food tastes the fucking nicest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it totally kills your appetite. So it's you don't think about food. It's weird. It's some kind of hormone,
Hmm.
and yeah, you don't even think about food.
Do you find that you're thinking about not thinking about it? Does that make sense? Do you miss wanting
Yeah.
it? Does that,
Um, I tell you, the main thing is because you're used to a routine. Like having breakfast,
yeah.
or if I don't have breakfast, then I'll have like lunch and dinner, and because you're not hungry, but you're so used to that like routine and that mindset of like meal times. So
Hmm.
like come to like dinner time, like in the evening, like, oh fuck, we haven't had dinner, but I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we haven't had dinner. Yeah, but I'm not hungry. But we haven't had dinner. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
It's but like you get used to it.
I suppose as with anything you would, yeah. So this is, yeah, something that you're kind of able to take advantage of really to get you where you need to be with regards to the procedure then,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is,
It's the thing is though that the Manjaro, it's not cheap. I mean,
yeah.
it's like $600 a month.
Has that gone
And
up recently? I think that might have been in the news that the prices for that had increased. Have you noticed that or?
yeah, because like the pharma companies are greedy folks, and they make billions, and they know that like well, there's an obesity epidemic around the world, isn't there? In
Yeah,
the
of course.
in the West, and everyone's fucking hitting it up on the pens.
Yeah.
The Ozempic, Manjaro, because it's easier than actually going cold turkey.
Yeah, man, it's not the amount of stuff that you have to consider to make a lifestyle change like that, you know?
Yes, especially when I've lived a certain lifestyle for like the past 30 years. I mean, everybody knows, I like to have a drink, I partied, and life on the road, it's virtually impossible to, like keep healthy,
Yeah, of
you
course.
know.
I've always heard that said. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you're living a life of convenience, really, like when you can grab something to eat or drink or
absolutely.
whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and also, when you travel in the world with your mates, the whole camaraderie thing, it's easy to, like, oh shit, drinking again,
Yeah,
But I've been clean and sober now for like coming up to 3 years in April.
nice one. That's really good
You
going.
know,
Like,
yeah,
um, and I suppose I mean, it's not so much a lifestyle change as a life change, Nick. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah, it really,
you've had the choice
it,
taken out of your hands, really, but it's gonna do you good in the long run.
it,
Like,
it really is. I mean, you know, um, you don't realize how much you take your health for granted until, you know, there's a problem.
yeah,
And, regarding the kidney failure, I wasn't told, oh, you're at stage 1 chronic kidney disease or you're at stage 2. Like,
yeah,
I
and
just got
be
told,
careful and watch yourself, that sort of thing. Like,
yeah, I
yeah,
just got told, oh, your kidney function's a little low. And then the next thing, I'm in hospital and they said, your kidneys have failed and, you need dialysis,
okay, yeah. What was your
and
situation at that time? Were you active musically? Like,
yeah, yeah. Well, I was in denial. First of all, I didn't believe it. I've been like I'm Nick Barker, I'm a machine. I can fucking just keep going like a Duracell bunny.
yes,
Many years, that was the case. But I'm in my 50s now.
yeah,
And I remember I got sick right before a Brujeria US tour in 2022, and
okay,
I was in hospital in the UK, and they said it looks like your kidneys aren't doing well. You're gonna need dialysis, and I didn't accept it, and I said, well, I've got to go on tour. I've got a US tour, and I can't fucking let my mates down because there's thousands of dollars been invested.
yeah,
There's the bus deposit, merch had been printed. We were contracted
yeah,
to play shows. So the docs told me in the UK, like, you won't make the tour. And I was just like, oh, the fuck do you know? I'm Nick Barker, I'm a machine, blah blah blah. Totally ignorant,
mm,
and I went on the tour against the doctor's orders, and yep, sure enough, like halfway through, I just had a fucking like they just shut down.
yeah,
And it was my last show was in New York City, and we was driving down to North Carolina, and I was fucked. I was dying, and they just took me to the local hospital, and that's when they did the test and said, yeah, you're going into renal failure, and when you go into renal failure, um, all your organs work together in
hmm.
unison, and once one organ starts to fail, then it affects all the other organs.
I suppose they have to pick up the slack a bit. Maybe is that how it
Yeah,
works?
and so I was in ICU, intensive care, in North Carolina for like 10 days,
Yeah,
and then I had to fly to Los Angeles to meet the band at the end of the tour.
hmm.
Um, get paid for the dates that I did, and I had to sell my drum kit, my US drum kit, to get home.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know, and Brujeria, they said, "Look, dude, we have to get somebody else in because you're too sick." And they left the door open for me,
Hmm.
which was nice. Yeah, so I got back to the UK, and then I just started on the dialysis.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, and I've been on the dialysis now since January 23.
So yeah, you're basically on the dialysis until you can get the transplant. Is that how that works?
Yeah, yeah. So
There's no repairing a failed
no,
kidney. Like,
no,
yeah,
no. I'm on the transplant list. I passed all my pre-surgery assessments.
yeah,
The nephrologist, he's happy with the progress and everything. Like I say, I've just got to drop about another 10 kilos, and hopefully, this year I've got a weight review down in Vancouver on the 24th of March.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's when I meet the surgeon, the social worker, and everybody else related to the transplant team to see where we're at.
Nice one. So you're kind of in looks like the home stretch of this.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm glad, really, because I'll tell you, mate, fucking dialysis 4 times a week is absolutely crippling.
Yeah. Because so how long are you in? So for one session, how long are you in? A half a
Um,
day, something like that?
4 hours at a time.
4 hours at a time, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, forgive my ignorance. I don't know what something like that actually looks like practically. So what do you just got to sit there in a room hooked up
It's,
to like
yeah,
a transfusion, like, isn't it? Or
yeah, it's basically a transfusion because my kidneys don't work,
yeah.
so they don't flush out all the toxins. So the toxins accumulate in your body and in your bloodstream,
Hmm.
and eventually, it just poisons you. So like I'm on like a strict like fluid restriction. Like I'm allowed 1.5 liters of fluid a day. That includes everything from drinks, sauces, like water and fruit and veg. And it's fucking hard as fuck, mate.
Yeah.
You don't believe how much you take drinking water for granted until
Yeah.
you can't do it anymore.
That's awful. Yeah. That's
You know?
so it's not even just when you're in the actual dialysis sessions, it's everything basically outside of that that fucking
Yeah,
sucks as well.
yeah. And then there's a strict renal diet. I can't eat certain things, and
Hmm.
and it's like fuck, all the time. Like can't have that, can't, what the fuck,
Yeah.
and you come off the machine because it basically just cleans all your blood. It gets all the shit out of
Hmm.
your blood that your kidneys would take
Yes.
care of. And, like afterwards, you just feel drained, mate. It's like, it's unbelievable. Like the fatigue, like
Hmm.
sometimes I can barely walk,
Yeah.
and like I said to my wife, like, fuck, if this is how it feels on dialysis, imagine what chemo must be like for cancer patients,
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Because I mean, they get pumped full of radiation.
Hmm.
And I feel like shit just after dialysis, and it takes me a day to recover. I come home, like I dialyze in the morning because it works better for me,
Hmm.
because I'm a late sleeper,
Yeah.
so I probably get like a couple of hours sleep, but I'm at the dialysis unit for 7 a.m. and then I'm back home by like noon, between noon and 1.
Hmm.
But I'll have like some lunch and then I fucking crash out,
Yeah.
until my wife gets home from work, because it just it wipes you, mate. Like the fatigue is like crippling. I mean,
Yeah.
just like getting dressed, coming downstairs, taking a shower, like doing just basic housework. It fucking knackers you out, and like playing drums is like fucking hell, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not just that. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
no, but it's all my own doing. So I just have to suck it up.
I don't know.
Until I
I
get
don't.
a
Yeah, I don't.
transplant.
That's a harsh enough way of looking.
Oh,
You know.
if you want to know harsh, you should read some of the comments on the internet about me. Like when the podcasts get uploaded, and some people are just fucking vile. I mean,
All. Yeah. All I can say for the sake of mental health, stay off of there, man. You just gotta not look. Because people are pushed in that direction too, Nick. You know what I mean? People are pushed towards conflict and trying to
oh,
get
I know,
shit
I
stirred
know,
up, and.
the keyboard warriors, but the thing is, it was always the same with like band reviews, like album reviews or live reviews. You can have like 404 499 killer reviews,
Hmm.
and then there'll be like that one prick,
Yeah.
and it's that one that sticks out more than the other 499 positive ones.
Yes. Yeah. Of
it
course.
it just sticks with you because it's like, people talk so much shit. It's like they're fucking vile. Some people,
Yeah.
the support's been overwhelming. I can't thank the metal community enough. It's like the outpouring of love and support. Like I can't believe it because I'm I'm my own worst critic. I when people pick me up on the drums,
Yeah.
I don't understand it because all I know is my flaws and you know the imperfections.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah. I Yeah, well, listen, we've got some time together. I'll try and assuage those self-criticisms that you have. In fact, if I could pick you up on that exact point, he said he said in a recent interview, I think it was with the Italian guy that you spoke to, about your playing on the principle of evil made flesh, that you weren't
yeah,
satisfied with that looking back. And I wondered, did you mean with your composition and your parts, or did you mean with the actual performance itself? Because I love the drums on on those songs, that album, you know.
a little bit of both.
Yeah.
When I listen back to the songs now, and I haven't listened to them in years, but I gave the album a spin recently, and like Old Cradle it was brilliant. When that album dropped, there was nothing like it,
Yeah.
really. And that's how the band gained the popularity. Um, we were really young. Like it was the camaraderie. All for one for all. We were all fucking broke. Sleeping on the floor in the studio.
Hmm.
But like there was just so much passion and fire
Yeah.
for, and we truly believed in what we were doing. And when I listen back now, I mean, obviously my drumming's evolved over the course of 30 years.
Yeah.
I listen back and I kind of play the drums in my head like how I would play them now, and you know it's just a little bit more flavor.
Yes.
You know, and
That's a really interesting way of putting it. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean by that.
you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, like the performance. I mean, it was. I'd only been in the studio at that time to like record demos.
Yes.
I mean, I recorded an album with my old death metal band Monolith,
Hmm.
but that got shelved by Cacophonous, and
Yeah,
that's never.
they've got farm for that, Cacophonous have.
Yeah,
Yeah, that seems
yeah.
to be
Well,
their operating model back in the day, was record albums and then put them on the shelf, you know?
yeah. Well, that's the thing with the principle of evil made flesh. We recouped all of the advance on pre-sales,
Okay.
so contractually they had to account to us in the first period, and send us money. But like time went on and nothing, no statements, no money, no nothing. And what
Mm.
they were doing was, with all of the Cradle of Filth money that they'd accumulated,
Yeah.
they were building the label, signing other bands.
Yes. Uh-huh. They had a
You
good
know,
roster. They had a good roster for a while. And
they
Balsagoth
did,
was on Cacophonous
yeah,
back
and
then, the
that's
first
what,
few albums, and
yeah, Dimmu,
that's right,
uh,
yeah.
but Gehenna, was it Gehenna?
I think
Was
Johanna
the other one?
might have been Peaceville, or maybe that was later.
Yeah, I might be. My memory is a bit hazy because it was a long time ago. But
Yeah.
yeah, like that album, Principle of Evil Made Flesh, basically funded Cacophonous Records.
Yeah, well, I can well believe it, yeah.
And then I don't know if you know the story, but Dusk was supposed to be the second album.
I do. I wanted to ask you about that too, yeah.
Yeah, well, Dusk was originally going to be the second album, but because we were all on the fucking dole, like starving,
Yeah.
eating bread sandwiches in the fucking studio,
Yeah.
recording our second album, and it's like, but we've recouped on the first album, and it's just blowing up. So why? Well, where's the money? Where's the statements?
Yeah.
So, I had the idea of like, well, if they're not going to account to us for the first album, we'll keep the master tapes
Hmm.
and kind of hold them to ransom. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
as soon as you pay us for the principle of Evil Made Flesh, we'll submit the tapes. But that like that's the only leverage we had. And I'll tell you now, record companies hate it when the artist gets one over on them.
Absolutely, yeah.
They fucking hate it, because they're the almighty and all powerful. They've got the money, the backing, the lawyers,
Hmm.
and when you're on the dole, like you
Yeah.
haven't got a pot to piss in, you're having to sell your stereo to pay your fucking phone bill, you know.
And I suppose that's it. That situation must have, because that didn't get resolved in terms of you guys holding on to the masters for Dusk, how you got out of that deal was
Well,
recording Vampire. So
yeah,
how did
well,
it come that, I mean, was that just a stalemate that couldn't be
yeah,
solved?
in typical record company versus artist fucking fashion, like I say, they've got the money and the backing,
Yeah,
so they can drag it out forever.
yeah,
But while you're in like this, if you like, contractual limbo, as an artist, you can't release any music.
okay,
So your career is like on hold until you submit to them,
yeah, I
and
see.
that's basically, you know, it's the age old story. Earache Records. Talk to any of the classic bands that were on Earache back in the day; they'll all tell you the same story.
Yeah,
Like you end up settling out of court for like pittance to what they legally owe you, and we had like a huge fucking lawyer bill too. So the compromise was okay. You can keep Dusk, but you give us like an EP, and
okay, yeah,
you get this amount of money, not the full amount.
yeah,
And by the time we'd paid like lawyers' fees and everything else, and it didn't amount to nothing. But by that time, we were just so fucking pissed off,
yeah.
we were being ripped off by this label, that we were just glad to get the fuck out, really. And then to, take the Dusk Masters to Music for Nations,
Hmm.
who, as like back in the day, like did Metallica and Wasp and
Yeah,
Armored Saint, Music for Nations, they were the shit back in the day, Under
yeah.
One Flag, remember all the bands on Under One Flag, the
No,
kind of like
I
the
don't know.
no.
No.
Well, Music for Nations had like a sub label
Yeah.
called Under One Flag, and they had like Possessed, Dark Angel, Death.
Oh, yeah.
The Speed Kills records. They were the
Gotcha.
compilation.
So they were sort of responsible for distribution of those,
Yeah,
because those bands would have been on other labels in the US, wouldn't they?
yeah,
Like
yeah. They're on
Combat and labels like
Combat.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Music for Nations also had Rough Justice, which was their punk sub label.
Yes,
They
I've
had
heard of that.
PDA,
Yeah.
Exploited. So yeah, it made sense. To go to, because a lot of labels were interested
Hmm.
when they knew we were free agents. Fucking everyone, it was like flies around shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah,
and
the thing about the Cradle trajectory for those first 6 or 7 years, kind of beyond that, to be honest with you, it was just all momentum. It was just
yeah,
up, 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 and
yeah,
up. What?
all non-stop. It was like, month after month, it was just blowing up. And when we signed the Music for Nations, I mean, they really did like invest a lot of money into us, and they pushed us hard. They got us like on MTV live in the studio.
Yes.
You know, the press campaign and everything. It was just fucking crazy. They really were a brilliant label, and yeah, like you say, it was just going nuts. Like, the fasten seatbelt sign was still on.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and
it's a miracle, kind of, in some senses, that it got that far, because the band effectively, no, I wouldn't say split up, split in half after, in
yeah,
that kind of in between period. Was that because of all of the hassle with the lawyer, with Cacophonous sort of fucking news about? Is that why those three guys left, do you think, or were there other reasons for that?
I don't really know. I think what happened was we did a European tour in 1995. This was before Vampire
Hmm.
was out. We did a European tour with Malevolent Creation and Vader
Yeah.
and Ancient Rites, and we were headlining, and we came home with fuck all, like
Hmm.
literally no money. Like, where's the money? And at the time we had like bad management. And we were young. We didn't know the industry. And I always had an interest in, the logistics. I wanted to know, like, well, how much is the bus per day, and how
Yeah.
much do you pay through, and what's the show guarantee, and I was interested in all that side of things. That's why I got into tour managing.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, we came back from that tour with fucking nothing, and like I guess like the guys were just like, well, this isn't financially viable, and I
Yeah.
want to do something else, and
Kind of blessing in disguise though, because and that's not to denigrate anything that Paul Hollander and the Ryan brothers contributed, because I mean
no, and
a lot of the stuff that Paul wrote was
well, both of
continue.
them,
Yeah,
both the Pauls. I mean,
yeah,
like the early stuff, and Ben too, yeah, like a lot of, well, Dusk. We wrote Dusk together, and half of Principle of Evil Made Flesh.
yeah,
I mean, half of it was already in the bag. They had the songs already when I joined, and then we wrote the other half, with me and the band. And, Dusk was like a full collaboration between all of us.
yeah. But I suppose
But
that those guys leaving opens the door for Stuart to come in, and that's when things really
yeah,
fucking
well,
kick off. Like, you know.
when you two guitarists and your keyboard player leave, and there's only like the singer, the bass player, and the drummer left, it was a little bit daunting at first. We were like, fuck, how are we going to recover from this?
Yeah,
And how is it going to affect the direction of the band with like new guys?
yeah,
And Stuart was a blessing. I mean, he was he was from a honorary student of the Guitar Institute,
hmm,
and he's working with him was amazing. We really did like have a really good chemistry and bond. And when you listen to, I mean, we wrote Ebony Dress for Sunset together, Rape and Ruin of Angels, and we wrote the whole of Cruelty
yeah.
together. And we've also Les on
Of
keyboards,
course, yes.
and like me, Stuart and Les was like the core, writing guys, with that album. And yeah, I mean, not taking anything away from John and Rob, but like me, Les, and Stuart, we were pretty much with the core.
Yeah. Would I be right in saying that Les had more of an input than the previous keyboard
Yeah,
players? Like Greg wouldn't have been much
yeah,
for,
yeah,
would he have written much or?
yeah. Greg's ability was kind of limiting, so in the studio, Keith Appleton in Academy Studios,
Yeah,
he helped with a lot of the keyboards
I've
for
heard
that
that.
time.
Yeah.
And also in Dusk, we had Mike Exeter,
Hmm.
who worked for Black Sabbath, and
Yeah.
Judas Priest. You know, um, he helped a lot too. And when Les came in, I mean, he was from Anathema, and like he didn't really know what black metal was. We just told him, just think fucking Hammer House of Horror and fucking scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
He totally got it, and
I was going to say the same thing. I got it. I watched the Pandemonium VHS the other day, which
yeah,
has all the making of footage. And this was probably the first thing that they did after you left the band.
yeah,
The amazing thing about that tape, Nick, is that there are three drummers featured on that video. Dave Hersheimer plays in the video clip itself.
yeah, yeah.
The track itself was recorded by Warren Sargentson,
Yes, that's right.
and then you're on the Astoria footage. But by the time
Yeah,
that VHS was released, none of the three drummers that are featured on the tape were in the band, which is Cradle of Filth in microcosm, like you know. Um,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
but Les got it even down to the visual thing, and I don't just mean with the dog collar. I mean the facial expressions, his whole attitude.
yeah, yeah.
He was 100%. He was
I
as
mean,
much of part of it as Danny was visually. I think
yeah, yeah. I mean, when he put the dog collar on, it was just like, yeah, that's it, absolutely. And when he wore makeup, we used to say look like Lon Chaney.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
And
and
it let you know what you were getting in for with the sense of humor of the band, I
yeah,
think, as well.
yeah. Well, he'd get really fucking hammered drunk, and then just turn into. You remember Rude Kid from Viz?
Yeah,
Yeah, and he just like, hey Les, let's go to the shops. Fuck off, con. and so his nickname was Rudest Priest.
Excellent. That's excellent.
But yeah, he totally fit like a glove. And I mean, when we were writing Dusk, and he came up with the intro to Beneath the Howling Stars, we're like, holy shit, this is fucking gold. He just nailed it. I think because he didn't really come from like a black metal background, it totally gave like a new fresh perspective regarding the keyboards.
That whole album has something about it, because you'll talk to a lot of Cradle of Filth fans. They'll hold Dusk or Cruelty up as the twin sort of pillars, not just of that era, Nick, but really of the whole history of the band. But I mean, I know you've had your issues obviously with the sound of the album and everything, but it just to me everything on that album is magic. The tone that Stuart got on that album, I've never heard anything like it since. And I mean, even bands don't even seem to try and emulate that, whatever that guitar sound is. I don't know where that came from, but it's completely unique. I mean, fuck knows what happened with the drums, or what the. I mean, why?
I tell you what it was. We used the producer Jan Peter Genkel, German guy, and he did the Therian album that came out at the time. What the fuck was it called now? It got the song To Megatherion on it. I can't remember the name of the album.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with them.
We really like the album. Now, here's the thing. I actually suggested Andy Sneap at that time, and I got shut down because he'd already worked with the Cartier Enthroned.
Okay.
I mean, what a stupid fucking reason to not use, like, a world-class producer. And then I mentioned Peter Takren, and, some reason management had a problem with him, didn't like his attitude or whatever the fuck.
But he would have been shit hot at that time. He was working with Enslaved, Immortal, all of those
absolutely
Nordic bands,
And the thing is, Paul, he really wanted to work with Cradle of Filth.
Yes. Okay.
And I think he would have done an amazing job, because the type of budget we had, we could have spent 2 fucking months in the studios.
Yeah.
And when management's like making fucking calls like that about your art, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it turned out, so management, they swarm in when we've just got the Music for Nations deal already in the bag. They take a nice 20% cut for doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just so happens that the manager's husband is also a record producer.
This is Kit Wolven, yeah.
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 He was the husband of Faye Wolven, the manager.
That's right, yeah.
I'll get double bubble, And it's like, it was more like her making as much money as she can rather than what was best for the band.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from Kit. I just think he was the wrong guy for the job. He didn't understand. Yeah, he didn't understand black metal.
Yeah.
And it sounds good, but it's, there's a few things that, if we'd used someone that knew the music, it would have turned out a bit better.
What was your situation like with the recording of that, Nick? Because your parts were, it got to be like 95% complete for that album. Everything but Malice, really, would it have been?
Yeah. So my drum tracks were the only thing that was kept from the original master tape.
Yeah.
So if you listen to that album, the release Cacophonous did, Dusk, the Original Sin.
Yeah.
That's the actual rough mix of the original, the first version.
Yeah.
With the both Pauls and Ben.
Yeah.
And so when we signed the Music Nations, the only thing we kept were the drum tracks. Then everything else was re-recorded. And then Malice was a new song.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just, tracked the drums there in the studio at UB40's place.
And did that mean then that were you around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were still involved in everything.
Around. Yeah. I mean, I was very hands-on when it comes to Cradle and the music, and also with Dimmu. In fact, every band I've been involved with, where I'm a full-time musician, I like to be very hands-on because you know, I even though I'm a drummer, I can't write riffs. But if you give me a bunch of riffs,
Hmm.
like I see them as jigsaw pieces.
Yeah.
In my mind, I know that that piece goes with that piece, and I create drums to follow the
Yes.
music. I play to fit the music, not to like fucking showboat.
I mean this is the highest compliment, but you're like Lars in that respect, you know?
Oh,
And
thank you.
I also think that, and I do, I'm a big admirer of Lars as an arranger
Me
and
too, actually.
producer. Yeah.
But back in the day when I was a kid, like when I first started playing drums, 1986,
Hmm.
fucking the year for metal.
Yeah.
Rain in Blood, Master of Puppets, Peace Cells.
Yeah.
It was like such a magical time. And you have to remember, Paul, that at that time, all of that music was new.
Yes.
It sounded like nothing else.
Hmm.
So it was like, holy shit. And, Lars back in the day,
Yeah.
I mean, you watch any like YouTube clips from like 1986 with
Uh-huh.
with Cliff Burton on the Puppets tour.
Yes.
They're on fucking fire,
They are, yeah,
you
and
know.
they're playing everything faster than it was on the records as well.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if that was Hetfield that was, I think, dictating the pace because
I,
he couldn't keep that right hand from, but
I know, but
Yeah,
I
Lars
mean,
is amazing in those shows. Like,
that rhythm, that his rhythm hand is amazing. I mean,
yeah,
and like you said, they were playing the album like fast, but
mm,
it was tight.
very tight. Yeah,
And like if you A/B it from then to today, and I know they're older and shit and all that and whatever,
mm,
excuses, but I mean, Exodus and Testament are the same age.
yeah.
Listen to what they're producing.
Well, I mean, so what age would you have been when Demonization was recorded? Mid mid
2015,
mid 40s would it have been, or
15, yeah, I was 42, 43.
42? Well, that's not super old, like, but what I'm trying to do is back your point up. I agree with you. I mean, Lombardo, even when he still had the opportunity to play on the big stage, so to speak, um, especially when he rejoined Slayer after being away for a while, you would see comments on message boards, to the effect of like, yeah, Lombardo can still do it, and it was all sort of like patronizing, like as if, you've still got it, that kind of thing, and I'm like, motherfucker never lost it. Like nobody can touch Lombardo for
Oh, I
just
mean, his
flying
feet.
around that kit. Like, do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and his feet now are
Yeah,
amazing. He's got the fast. His feet are faster now than they've ever been.
yeah.
And I've stood behind him and watched him play live.
What a privilege. Like,
Oh, I was in awe. It was
yeah.
like, we're not worthy. you
That's kind of brings me on to something I wanted to ask you about, which was, so you were a sponsor of the pedals you use, and you're going to save me the
Yeah,
embarrassment by pronouncing it because I can't.
Jaji Copito.
Thank you very much. So would you, and I'm not fishing for a plug for the company here, but would you suggest that there was stuff that you wouldn't have been able to play, or at least would have found more difficult to play without certain advances in hardware, drumming hardware?
Yes, yes. I'll
Yeah.
tell you now. Okay, so oh, it was the 1995 Cradle tour with
Hmm.
Malevolent Creation and Vader,
Yeah.
where I got to become good friends with Dave Culross.
Jesus.
He
Yeah. What a
was,
player.
oh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Great guy too. I mean,
Seems like a
Dave
really
is
nice guy. Yeah.
super chilled, super chilled. And I tell you what, I've never known anyone smoke so much fucking weed apart from Steve from Deicide,
Okay.
and then go on stage and just fucking kill it.
Smoke it. Yeah. That
You
makes more
know,
sense.
you know. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Yeah.
Dave Culross, on that 1995 tour. That was the first time I saw Axis pedals,
Yes.
and this is going back like over 30 years now.
Hmm.
And honestly, mate, I thought they were like something from outer space
Yeah.
because you'd never seen pedals like that at that time in
Hmm.
Europe.
Yeah.
You know, like, especially like like everything was chain drive
Yeah.
back then. And like I'd never seen a direct drive pedal before,
Hmm.
and just like how light and responsive they were, I was like, holy shit, I got to get a pair of these. Because at the time I was rolling with the DW 5000s,
Uh-huh.
which, if you know, like at that period, they were pretty much like the go-to.
Would they
I
would
don't,
they have been the mid-range of the DWs?
no, they were the high
They
end
were at
range.
that stage, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The 5,000 at that point were like, they were the daddies
Yeah.
in the DW series.
Hmm.
Now there's like the
There's
9,000s and
nines,
that,
yeah.
whatever. But I don't know if Iron Cobras were out then or not. I can't remember. But I do know most drummers were rolling with the DW 5,000s.
Hmm.
I know if you look at the Morbid Angel Rapture video, you can see Pete's playing them.
Okay, yeah.
So it was around that era.
That's a ringing endorsement, really, like,
Yeah, but yeah, so that was the first time I'd seen Axis pedals,
Yeah.
and I had to get a pair. And our tour manager at the time, Dave Nutbrown, who's worked for Ghost and Arch Enemy and like Dio and everyone,
Yeah.
he was in the States all the time, and so I said, look, pick me up a pair of these next time you're in the States, and he did, and it was just that it
Yeah.
was life changing. And then I played Axis for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And then I met Vladek, the CEO of Jarji Kopito, at a festival in Czech Republic.
Hmm.
And he gave me a pair of pedals to try out. He's, if you don't like them, just send them back.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved them. They were like Axis, but like more heavy duty.
Yes.
But the thing with Axis, and I'm not talking shit about Axis because I love the pedals. Still, they'll always have a special place in my heart because they really advanced my playing greatly. Yeah. The thing with Axis is they're great for the speed, but you can't like slam into them and like playing like just standard meat and potatoes rock.
Yes.
They kind of repel against your foot.
I understand.
When you want to play hard.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with Jarji Kopitos is you can play hard, you can play like fucking meat and taters, Motley Crue shit.
Yes.
And like really, put your foot into the pedal.
Yeah.
But then you can go into like some death metal or black metal 32 single notes.
Yeah.
And it's just like floating on air.
Yeah.
So you get the best of both worlds.
No, that sounds amazing. So you've got your versatility there, which is
and the build quality is just amazing. I mean, the CEO he used to build missiles for the Polish military.
Yeah, that's an interesting career trajectory, isn't it? Like...
Yeah, and just like Axis, I kind of imagine, like, he's got like some big fucking factory, and like, a huge workforce. And literally, when he first started out, he had like a lathe milling machine and a couple of drills in his back garden shed.
Yeah,
and Axis is the same. If you go to the headquarters in Carson, in California, Southern California, you think like, it's a big fucking, production line, and it's not. It's just some small business unit, and they've got like fucking Miguel and Alfonso.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the Jarji Kopito stuff, I mean, you kind of have to place an order and wait a couple of months for the thing to be made, don't you?
Yeah.
You can't just, pop into the music shop and walk out with one. Like,
yeah, the thing is now, mate, they're gaining so much popularity that everyone's jumping ship.
Yeah.
Like Pete Sandoval, he was a devoted Axis guy for years. Mm-hmm. He now plays Jarji Kopito. Paul from Cannibal, Inferno. All the main guys now pretty much play, those pedals.
No, I can understand. Yeah, you have inadvertently sort of pitched me on it, but that I can't say that's not my fault. Like, so it's put it on the Christmas list maybe. So yeah, that all came out of me paying you a compliment and comparing you to Lars Ulrich, which I'll stand over in terms of your contribution as a range. Would you call would you consider yourself an arranger, Nick, or
Yeah. I mean, like I say, like I can't write riffs. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a frustrated guitar player. I love guitarists more than I do drummers.
Okay, yeah.
It takes a lot to impress me on the drums, but fucking guitarists, oh my God. I could talk to you about my favorite guitarists like all day. Jakey Lee.
Yes, yeah. Who are some of your guys?
Jakey Lee, John Sykes, Rocky George, Jeff Hanneman, of course.
Of course.
You know,
No mention
Gary
of
Holt.
Kerry. No mention of Kerry in there. No.
You know.
Yeah, I know.
Gary,
Yeah, Gary Holtz. Yeah,
Gary
Gary's the
Holt is
man too. Yeah, of
amazing. Angus and Malcolm Young.
course.
You know, Tipton and Downing.
Yeah.
You know, Smith and Murray. You know.
Well, this is interesting though because that list, with a few exceptions, you're not. It's not a list of extreme players. You know.
No.
I mean, what?
Eddie Van Halen too. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Van Halen fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like Eddie Van Halen as well. I was trying to pitch a friend to get into Van Halen recently who wouldn't be into. Basically, what I had to do was break through the barrier because I knew he wouldn't be into Dave Lee Roth, and I was like, but if you can get past Dave Lee Roth, who I have no problem with, I love Dave. But
Diamond Dave's killer.
yeah, those albums, that whole everything, every little sound he would pepper those tracks with, it was just.
When you listen to the isolated vocal tracks,
Yes,
it's hilarious.
I'll have to look that up. Yeah, that sounds like an evening's entertainment. Like
you can hear the cocaine in the headphones.
But I was trying to find a song that I could say, like, you listen to this, if you listen to this one Eddie Van Halen track, that's the key, the door.
Unchained.
I thought Mean Streets. Those are the same album, aren't they? I think, yeah.
Same album, yeah. Fair warning. But Unchained, I mean, that opening riff, it just gives me goosebumps.
Well, listen,
I never get tired of that song.
I'm going to tell him Nick Barker says listen to Unchained, and that's your homework for the weekend. But,
and if that doesn't trigger you into like doing a mountain of cocaine and drinking a load of whiskey and calling up a load of girls, then I don't know what.
Oh man, it's the first time for everything. And here, Alex, you fan of Alex Van Halen?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I've recently just read the book.
Okay,
Brothers, and it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah, it's on my list. I got to check that out.
You should check it out. It's amazing.
I think sometimes I'm listening to the later '80s stuff, so that your early Hagar stuff. That at times I moved to think that Alex had the best sounding kick and snare combo, at least of the period, and then you move up onto those. Whatever those electric drums were, and the whole thing's just out the window.
The Simmons kit, and then
it would have been Simmons.
He had the Roto Toms.
No complaint with the Roto Toms.
No, I love the Roto.
Listen, man, I hinted at it earlier. I listened to Demonization earlier on twice today, and I think you getting those Roto Toms on the kit, Jesus, right? It's such a good fit for that kind of music, though.
Oh, absolutely. And I was in the studio. You don't think it's a bit too much? And Russ Russell looked at me and went, "Fuck you."
So here's I was going to say, you can tell there is no restraint there because occasionally, so like Igor Cavalera is another of my big drumming heroes.
Igor's great.
Igor started to play Roto Toms again in the past, say 10 years, both with the Cavalera re-recordings and then with the stuff like Psychosis, the last album he did, him and Max. He's very restrained with his use of Roto Toms. I think sometimes it's just like a blam and then two down here, and I'm like, perfect. Three hits there. Just I'm in awe of him. Like, but David Gray would be another one. David Gray, in terms of Roto Toms and extreme metal, I
love Dave's amazing. He's a good friend too.
I thought that, because I've seen your name crop up in the booklets for Akakaka and Antichrist and Voices and all that stuff. And I think you're probably the most thanked guy in my wall of metal CD booklets here.
It's funny because you read some of the internet comments and people think I'm a fucking prick.
I don't know what they just need to watch more of these interviews. They just need to do their own interviews with you. That's what they need to do.
It's the keyboard warriors.
It's
probably some guy that caught me at a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
He wants because a lot of the negative comments are actually from Latino fans.
Interesting.
Now, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but they don't understand personal space.
Okay, yeah.
And like etiquette. Like they really. Sorry about this.
No, you're okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Just I got a phone call coming. I just had to cut it off.
Oh, so that's okay.
So I don't know if it's like a cultural thing. Like they don't understand and appreciate personal space, and there's a lack of security, and they're so fanatical. they'll try and like steal your laminate, your hat,
Yeah.
you know, grabbing at you. I mean, with Brujeria, we had like I think it was in Bolivia.
Hmm.
We were in the van and they were shaking the van. It was like a fucking riot.
Yeah.
Brujeria, and like the next thing, smash the fucking one of the windows goes through, and
Yeah.
there's two dudes trying to fucking climb in the van. You
Yeah.
know, photo, and we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that moment where the
It's
line is crossed, where it goes from being
yeah, well,
an amusing, oh, can you believe this is happening incident to, oh shit, this is happening.
yeah, but because it's so lawless down there too.
Mm.
You kind of, and with what happened to Dimebag,
Yes,
like it's so easy for like you don't know if somebody's got a knife or a gun,
it's true.
like, and they're so fanatical. I mean, you don't really hear much of it, like in our media, but there's been so many like people killed in like like related to black metal down there, like priests and like fucking rivals
Yeah,
between bands, and it's you don't really hear so much of it here in our media, like in our music media, but when you go down there and you're down there a lot,
yeah, of
which at one point in my life, Latin America, I was down there like 4 or 5 times a year,
course, yeah.
and you hear all these stories, like local black metal, they killed a fucking priest or a nun, and it's kind of scary
Yeah,
when like they've just smashed the fucking window in the van and they're trying to climb in, and
of
you
course,
don't know what
that's the first
you
place
don't
your
know
mind
what's
goes
what,
to is, yeah.
not having proper security,
Hmm.
and knowing like the whole Dimebag scenario.
Yeah,
It's a little bit unnerving. I
it is, well,
appreciate
yeah.
the fanaticism, but maybe it's a cultural thing. They don't understand, personal space, and you know, I guess to them you're like some fucking superhero.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you see any of the documentaries about like metal music in, South America and stuff, and a big thing that they always have to highlight is the fanaticism and the devotion of those fans. And obviously, there's two
Yeah,
sides to that. What you get is kind of like the best concert crowds, really, to an
yeah,
extent. But on
it's
the other
amazing.
hand, there's the risk there too,
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the fucking gear sucks, especially as a drummer.
Hmm.
I mean, the guitarists, they're like, "Oh, what are you bitching about?" It's like, well, it's okay for you because you've always got the fucking 5150.
Yeah.
But it's like when I'm told, oh yeah, we've got a kit, and it's like two Pearl exports from
Hmm.
like decades apart,
Yeah.
different colors, and it's just two 5-piece kits joined together.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And like all the hardware's fucked.
Yeah.
Cymbals are like, my cymbals are worth more than the fucking drum kit.
Yeah.
And like the cymbals are like falling down, and it's just it's a nightmare as a drummer
Yeah. Of
because
course.
I want to give my best performance.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the fucking gear's falling apart,
Yeah. Yeah.
your muscle memory's shot because you're constantly looking where things are, and
Mm.
it's and yourself.
Yeah.
It's about muscle memory, a lot of it.
An awful lot of your playing is precision too, Nick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
you know,
you need to know that your things are going to be where you need to hit them.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's been so many times where like cymbal stands have failed on me,
Hmm.
and like that's like a fucking 300-pound cymbal just fucked now because it's got a crack in it, it's got a
Yeah.
dent in it, and like luckily for me, I mean, I can get it replaced through my endorsement, but
Yeah.
it's still
There's still
yeah, yeah,
there's a principle there too. Do you know what I mean? That's
yeah, and also I've still got to do like another 15 shows with that,
yeah.
you know.
Well, speaking of Brujeria, so you, as the story goes, you went on holiday with Shane
Yes.
Embry, and when you came back from holiday, you were a member of Brujeria, if I got that about right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so it was the
yeah,
end
how
of
did that come
19,
about? Yeah.
well, it was the end of 1998. Things in Cradle weren't going well for me. I mean, it got to the point where I fucking hated touring. Like
Mm.
we were selling out, 1,500 capacity venues and coming home with no money. Well, what some person was making all the money. It just wasn't
Yeah.
the musicians.
Hmm.
And we weren't getting on. I mean, when money came into the equation and management, you know, management just looked at the band and like, oh well, we can really market the singer as like, like the UK's Marilyn Manson or Rob
Yeah.
Zombie, and let's call him Danny Filth. So it was all focused on one person rather than
Was there
like,
a clear split of five against one?
um
Would you put it like, Danny and then the rest of you guys sort of on the other side, or within those five, was there a sort of,
yeah,
other
I mean,
dynamics?
me and him were not getting on because I was asking a lot of questions,
Yeah.
about why is there no money, well, why am I going home broke, and everything else. And there was quite a divide. I mean, um, Les and Stewart weren't happy in the band, and when I decided to quit, I said to those guys, "Look, come with me,
Hmm.
and we'll fucking lawyer up and we'll audit them."
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, we're going to stick it out." But then 6 months later, they both quit together,
Yeah.
and that's when they're like, "Fuck, I wish we would have, you know, joined up and
Yeah.
done what you said," because I wanted to audit them to
Well,
see what was going on.
you were what, 30 years ahead of what seems to now be actually happening to some extent. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
you've heard about that. Like,
yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It just rings like I'm back in the band.
yeah.
It's like it hasn't changed. And when you look at the revolving door and how many people have come and gone in that band,
Hmm.
it's it is what it is. But I mean, those early records, they were really something special.
There's no denying it, and I mean, I don't want to harp on about it, but I am like lifelong fan of that music, and it's very important to the. I don't know what it is, Nick, about why those records get into people's hearts without being too sappy about it the way they do, but people really take those Cradle albums
I think what it
into
is,
them, you know?
yeah, I think what it is because you know people were younger back then.
Mm,
A lot of people were kids when those albums dropped.
yeah.
When I say kids, I mean like teens, 20s, maybe early 30s.
Hmm.
But I'm pretty sure that people who listened to Cradle of Filth back then don't listen to them now.
Well, yeah, that could be the case for some. I find that as
Yeah,
I get older and as I try to get better on this thing here, and sometimes I'm a listener and sometimes I'm a drummer listening to music, if you know what I mean,
yeah,
or a musician listening to music. And what I'm reacting to is the musical appeal of those records,
yeah.
rather than the ridiculous crying cover photo shoots of you covered in blood or whatever the crack it was, you know.
And
Um,
sausages for intestines. Yeah,
oh yeah, yeah, all of that stuff.
yeah,
But it holds up very, very well in a way that the later music doesn't. And I have quite an open mind about the later Cradle of Filth
yeah,
stuff. I think part of that comes from Adrian Erlinson on
yeah,
drums, who's a fucking killer drummer. I really, really like
yeah,
Adrian. Seems like a funny guy as well. Like, but um, those albums have great interest to me as well. And then after that, it starts to get to the stage where I think you can tell me what you think about this wild theory, right? That the guys that were brought into the band, guys and girls that were brought into the band, Donny or management or whoever's responsible stopped hiring name performers
yeah,
because,
yeah.
I
Because
mean, would you agree with that? Like,
yeah, because you got to pay them.
exactly, yeah.
If you get like, no disrespect to Martin, he's a
Mm,
really nice guy, but you hire people from like Eastern Europe,
yeah.
and to them it's like a dream gig.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
would have been like I've seen a picture he put up years and years ago on social media of him meeting possibly you. But
There's a
he's at
picture
a
of me, him, and Adrian together at
yeah,
some festival.
yeah. That
Yeah,
must have been what
it,
it was.
it's a really nice guy, but when you hire like these musicians that they're not named people, they don't know the industry.
Hmm.
You can exploit them.
Yeah. Whereas yeah,
It's happened to me, mate. I've had so many. I won't name names, but I've had so many like different bands, over the years that said like, "Dude, we'd love to hire you, but it means we've got to pay you."
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, why pay you when I can pay some 19, 20-year-old kid that still lives at home with mom,
Yeah.
and he's like a fucking beast on the drums. You
Yeah.
know, he'll tour Europe for 100 euros a night, and be happy that he's touring Europe. You
So
know,
so I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about not that, but I've been thinking about your ability as a player, and I've been thinking about the I don't want to make you uncomfortable, Nick, but the pantheon of guys that you kind of share space with.
okay,
Haugland, Coleus, some of these guys. And there are things that I hear you do, particularly on Hatebreed Suffering's a really good example, where I'm listening to that album, I'm like, the fuck does he do that so well, so consistently? And I mean, Coleus is a really good example because I've seen Coleus play live, and he's all over the kit, and he's playing these absolutely insane things. But you're playing these absolutely insane things with such force, precision. Your transfer between the snare and the rack, these little
yeah,
explosive things at the end of bars, blink and you'll miss them. But like
yeah.
every strike is like, you know, right there on the map. I think you'd be worth paying for, frankly, if somebody, if the proposition was made. I don't think there's any comparison. Some kid playing in his
Well,
mom's
thank you. I
basement,
appreciate it.
whatever. But I mean, seriously, like, really, I think that any band that has had you has been at their best when they've had you, and that's not just your playing, as we kind of spoke about earlier. Your contribution as a arranger, producer,
Yeah,
just an ear for music is
yeah.
there too. Like that moment it's on Puritanical somewhere. Um, I'm not great with the song titles. You know the bit where there's this kind of like spooky keyboard thing that comes in, and
Yeah.
you do this roll up on the toms. Do you know the
Ah,
bit I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yeah. It's oh fuck, what song
Is
is
it
it now?
is it indoctrination maybe?
No, no, it's not indoctrination. I think it's architecture of a genocidal nature.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of got like a dreamy, you know,
Yes.
razor blade
That's the
smile.
one, yeah. And you come up the
Yeah,
toms and then snare and then toms and
yeah.
the snare. Where the fuck did that come from? I mean, that is such an amazing musical
I actually
idea.
wrote, I actually wrote that on the computer.
You see, yes, this is the thing I'm talking
You know,
about. And you could tell that that hadn't come from, you know, who's was Shagrath and Silenos, I suppose, were the main
yeah,
writers at
yeah,
that time. Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's just it's outstanding. I mean, in that album. I mean, you know the crack, you played it yourself, like, but what did it at any stage when you were, tracking that album, did you think, what the fuck am I going to do when we get on the road with this stuff?
no, because I tell you right, because I was so like disillusioned and fucking heartbroken with how
Yeah.
Cruelty came out, and that was the last album with Cradle I did,
Hmm.
and then I joined Dimmu, and I joined Dimmu right when Spiritual Black Dimensions was released. So I
Okay.
did the world tour for that, and then we were writing Puritanical, but because we had such a vigorous tour schedule, and also the Dimmu music had a lot more footwork
Yeah.
involved. So it really upped my game on the feet,
Yeah.
which I have to thank Dimmu for greatly because it made me a much better player. And I just wanted to with Puritanical, I went in with the mindset of like, I basically just want to fucking stick two fingers up to Danny Filth,
No better
and like,
motivator than spite.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It,
Yeah.
it totally. I was driven by hate, you know.
That's the best transfer of energy I can think of, though, to take that motivation
Yeah,
and
you
record
know,
that fucking album. Like,
and I just remember the infamous line from Star Wars: "Let the hate flow." you
that's
know,
excellent.
and yeah, so I just basically wanted to give fucking two fingers up to Filth.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm gonna make this album. This album, I want everyone to hear the drums and go, "Holy shit!"
It's amazing, yeah. Because I thought about asking you that very question: is did you set out with that? Because the way that Blessings upon the Throne of Tyranny starts, and after the beautiful majesty of that opening intro, with
Yeah,
the real orchestra and everything, that cymbal choke, and then that
yeah,
fucking roll, and then you're off to the races. And that song, it never really lets up. It slows down, but when it slows down, the feet are still,
Yeah.
it's
Well, it's even on the atmospheric parts.
yeah,
I try not to showboat. Like I play for the song.
yeah,
And like there's places where I really want to fucking turn it up.
yes,
No, but then there's other places where just like groove is so much important. A lot of like modern like death metal drummers, the new kids, they really don't understand groove. Like
yeah,
sometimes less is more. You
yes,
know, like I'm a huge fan of AC/DC.
hmm
Phil Rudd. Like, oh, anyone can play a fucking 4/4 rock. No, you can't play it like Phil Rudd.
No, you fucking can't. No, absolutely
You
not.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And it's the same with Alex Van Halen.
yes,
As soon as you hear him play that fucking straight rock beat, I
yeah,
know it's him
yes,
because it's like just how he leans into the hats.
yeah.
There's just a certain vibe, and like kids
This,
today,
yeah, this
like
is real. This is real drummers talk. Like, but I
m-
find that with Phil Rudd, when I'm listening to him, I can hear hhis shoulders. Do you get what I mean by
yes,
that? Yeah, you can,
yeah, and
it creates this visual of the slight lean,
yeah, and like he's almost like on the backbeat. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
hmm
it's he's got like a fucking swing,
Yeah.
and like you can't put your finger on it. It's just so unique to him,
It's just
and
yeah.
it's what makes part of the AC/DC sound. Like when they get another drummer in, it's not the same.
No,
You know?
it's true. Yeah. Particularly, I think, Chris Slade that played with them around about the time
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Thunderstruck
The
came out.
Donington
Yeah, the
DVD.
Donington guy. Yeah. And, he's playing, the 17-minute version long of Let There Be Rock. So Angus
Yeah.
can do the solo and his hand
Oh
constantly,
yeah, yeah. Like
tapping
all
constantly,
single strokes.
all
I
single
used
strokes. Yeah.
I used to play in a Bon Scott tribute
Yeah.
band in Chesterfield. Where I grew up, and we used to do Let There Be Rock. And I'm telling you, because it was always like the end of the second set,
hmm
like yeah, that fucking single stroke on the hats, like
Yeah.
oh my god, you feel the burn.
Well,
You
even Rudd,
really
when he
do.
does it live, he does it in threes,
Yeah.
did it like that. But um, I'm sorry, man, I'm taking you off on all kinds of
No, it's
tangents
fine.
here. But
It's fine. We can talk about Phil Rudd all day. I mean, he plays that he beats that kit like it fucking owes him money. You know?
yes. Did you ever see the DVD they put out in 1996? Is it Madrid, I think? And he spends most of the show with a cigarette hanging out of his
Yeah,
mouth, and I'm like,
yeah.
how the
And
fuck? I mean, can you even
and
inhale when you're playing drums? I don't know. Like,
I know, and then he's got the ashtray next to him.
yeah,
Like
but
fucking.
such a cool look. Um, how did I get on? Oh yeah, so on speaking of puritanical, what I wanted to ask you was because you're in the distinct position of being player on two albums that have been remixed. I wouldn't say it's
No, no,
extensively remixed,
no.
but
Puritanical was remixed. Shagrath hated it. He blames me for that album turning out the way. He says the drums are way too loud.
yeah.
It's way too polished.
Do you think it was crying out for a remix though?
He hated it. Well, it was him that
It was
actually did
his
the remix, I believe.
really, yeah.
And it's it's his band, so
Yeah.
obviously it's what he wants. But I mean, regardless of whether he likes the album or not, the fans love it, and I think it certainly didn't hurt Dimmu Borgir.
No, it didn't. And
But I
it
mean,
kind of
I don't want to take all the credit. I mean, Vortex. I mean, his
yeah,
vocals. Come on, and like Mustis, the keyboards.
extraordinary keyboards.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a shame that before Vortex quit. If you listen, like his vocals get less and less and less on the albums,
Mm,
and that's because Shagrath he felt threatened. He said in
yeah.
the studio, "I'm the fucking singer." It's like,
Yeah.
well, no one's trying to take it away from you, dude. It's like he's a great asset to the band. It's a fucking it's tragic that we don't utilize it more.
Yeah. No, you have a
Uh,
guy like that that can sing in your band. You got to use it now and then.
I think
And
so
yeah,
because especially in black metal when it was so generic to like have the female vocalist bullshit.
yeah.
To have like a male operatic kind of thing.
hmm
It just like oh my god, like when I first heard his vocals in the middle of Kings of Carnival creation in the studio,
hmm
like it moved me to tears.
Yeah.
You know, it was like fucking magical.
No, he
You know,
was. He was
hearing
that
that for
good.
the first time, it was like, this is fucking gold. You know,
That's amazing.
and yeah, so I don't want to take all the credit for Puritanical because I mean, Golder's a killer musician.
Hmm.
You know, he wrote some killer riffs. He wrote the opening riff to "Blessings Upon the Throne of Tyranny."
Yes.
You know, and
Yeah.
Vortex, Mustis, you know, and Shagrath and Silenos too. You know, collectively, it worked great.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that it didn't last.
It didn't. No. Did you do uh Old Man's Child between the Dimmu albums, or was that after?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We just finished the last US run for Puritanical, and then me and Golder went into Studio Fredman for 2 weeks straight
Hmm.
after. So I was nice and warmed up from the tour. I'd just
Yes.
done 7 weeks in the States.
Hmm.
So, you know, the drum tracks went great. And
Yeah.
working at Studio Fredman was always great.
It's
You know,
who was the producer on that one?
I can't remember. It was Patrick. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
it was great times and like really, you know, the people you work with are very encouraging because
Hmm.
I always doubt myself.
Yeah.
You know, studio, I'm like, you know, is it good enough? Maybe I could do one more take and make it. No, 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 no. It's fucking, you know. So I need somebody to like, you know, pull me back because
Yeah.
I can I can quite disappear up my own arse if you like.
Hmm.
But you know, I'm never happy with my performance at the time.
Yes.
You know, when I listen back to it, I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have done this, or you know, you know, there's little things that niggle me.
Yeah, and you'll be the only one that notices them, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like this is why I don't understand. Like when people big me up, I don't really. It's hard for me. I feel awkward because I appreciate it, of course, but
Yeah.
I all I see is my flaws and my mistakes,
Yeah.
and I hear obviously the listener hears it totally different to me,
Yeah.
you know, and so I really struggle with adulation and compliments. I feel awkward, you know,
Yes,
because
of course, I get that.
you know, like yeah, I'm from a working class fucking mining town.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
A
you
small
know,
town UK upbringing will do that to your sense of,
absolutely, it's
yeah.
like you don't have aspirations, boy. Whoosh,
No,
get down the
don't you
fucking coal mine.
don't you dare
Yeah,
think you're, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Don't you? How dare you think you're better than us? That
yeah,
kind of mentality, you know.
I get you. Here we got off track with the Brujeria thing. So you're in America with
Yeah.
Shane, and Cradle's not going so
Yes.
good. You were saying, yes.
Yeah. So so it was the last tour for Cruelty in Europe, and actually Napalm were on the tour. It was Borgir, Napalm, and Cradle,
Yeah.
and that's where I got to know Vortex really well before I joined Dimmu.
Okay.
So the transition to Dimmu, you know, was made even smoother because
Yes, you
we
had
were
an
already
in sort of,
friends. Yeah.
yeah.
So digress a little there. So yeah, I wasn't getting along. So the first day of the tour was in Rotterdam, and we did a bus swap. Barney went on the Cradle bus, and I went on
Hmm.
the Napalm bus.
Okay, yeah.
And Barney went on the Cradle bus because they had a PS2, and it was a brand new console back then.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and I'm not a gamer at all, so I'm like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
I'm going on the Napalm bus where we're listening to Priest and Van Halen and Rush and
Yes.
AC/DC.
The chaos bus.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, you know, as you know, I'm like really good friends with Shane
Yeah.
and the Napalm guys. And, you know, over the course of the tour, I just expressed, you know, my ill feelings. Like, you know, I think I'm going to quit Cradle because it's fucking bullshit. I hate touring.
Hmm.
You know, it's just, you know, I'm getting ripped off, you know, and there's no transparency with anything, you know, and I'm just not happy.
Plus, you're giving it your best.
You know, yeah, and you
Yeah.
know, I'm not a greedy guy, dude. I
Mm.
just want, you know, I just want my share,
100%.
you know, and
Yeah.
like I just expect transparency and honesty,
Yeah.
which, you know, as you know, like in the entertainment industry, that's almost like a taboo
Yes.
in some respects, you know.
Of
How
course.
dare you want transparency and honesty? You know, don't you know who we are?
Yeah, yeah.
So I expressed my my feelings to Shane, and he tried to convince me. He's like, dude, you're on a fucking winner there.
Hmm.
It's just ride it out. And it's like, what's the point? The band's just getting bigger, and I'm still fucking broke.
Yeah.
And someone's making all the money.
Yeah. It didn't look like
You know,
things were gonna change by the sounds of it either.
yeah, yeah, and so Shane said, well, listen, I'm going to LA for New Year. So why don't you come with, and we'll just fucking chill and hang out. And by the way, I'm recording the Brujeria album. You can just hang out in the studio and just, party and have a good time.
Yeah.
So I went over to LA with him, and I already knew Dino and Raymond from Fear Factory,
Yes.
and they'd known Shane for years.
Hmm.
So, it was just like hanging out with a bunch of bros, really. And then one Brujo was like, no, I think it was Dino. He's like, hey, dude, have you got any drum beats? And I had a few drum beats floating around that I was going to use for Cradle.
Uh-huh.
And one of them was, I don't know if you know the song Laboratorio de Cristalitos, which is like the meth lab.
Yes.
And it's the blast beat.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Dino just straight away like syncopated him, like, dude, that's a song.
Yes.
And then I had Petites, the drum beat for that, which was like a slower double kick thing with the machine gun pattern snare. And it was just like, yep, that's another one.
Yeah.
And then I co-wrote Brujerismo with the song Brujerismo with Dino. And, they were so impressed that, dude, you're in the band. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
So how did that work with? So Raymond was still in the band at that stage. Would that be right?
Yeah, but the thing with Brujeria, there's like a whole bunch of different guys.
Mm-hmm.
There was like three singers.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Pintado played. He was a member as well. He tracked a couple of songs. Phantasma is also a bass player. He played in
It's not Pat, is it? No.
Yeah, Pat.
Yeah.
He played in an LA hardcore band called Down by Law.
Okay, yeah.
And Pat's great. I mean, he's an old OG of the LA scene.
Yes.
And he used to have his own radio show and everything. So Pat would play bass and then do vocals, etc. And Raymond was totally cool about having another drummer.
Yeah.
On board, and everyone seemed to welcome me with open arms. And because I was a friend of Shane, that's when they called me Ongo Junior.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Although I wanted to be called Gringo Star.
Oh no, man! Like, that's so good.
I know.
That's so good.
I know. Gringo Star. It's fucking. It just writes itself.
Was that the last record that Dino did?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And if you listen to it, that's why there was kind of a shift in the style, because there was kind of some new metal kind of riffs in there, and
yeah,
I think they were Fear Factory riffs from the Obskkvult era that didn't quite make the cut.
Okay, yes, yeah, I get you.
But not taking away anything from Dino. I mean, he's great at what he does.
Yes.
And
I'm an enormous fan of. You probably can't see that, but he's somewhere there on that poster on me behind the wall there. So yes, I'm big fan of Fear Factory and Dino in general.
Soul of a New Machine and Demanufacture. It's enough said, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
They were groundbreaking.
And you've got credit on Divine Heresy records as well.
Yes,
for writing.
Yes.
So is that for contribution of riffs? I mean, you said not about riffs, but drum parts arrangement. How did you get the actual credit on those albums?
Okay, so when I was in LA doing Brujeria, there was always a power struggle between Dino and Juan Brujo.
Okay.
They were best friends, but they would fight like fucking cat and dog.
Yeah.
Over the stupidest shit sometimes, and it was just a power struggle. one good thing I will say about Dino is he got shit done.
Yeah.
But Dino wasn't a partier. And he very rarely drank.
Okay. Yeah.
Whereas the whole concept of Brujeria was the fucking party, the
Yeah.
drug, fucking you know
Access. Yeah.
jumping the border. If you look at you look at the subject matter and the photos. I mean, one of the albums, the back cover is just like bricks of cocaine
Hmm.
seized by customs.
Yeah.
So you get the idea of the concept of the band and the
Oh yeah.
subject matter. So I kind of yeah, I got into all of that,
Hmm.
and so Juan Bruja was the partier,
Okay.
and Dino was like the straight guy. So it's
There's an incompatibility there, sort of.
yeah, kind of, and like I'm not don't want to talk shit about anyone, but when somebody's like saying it's black, then the other person saying it's white, it's nothing's going to get resolved.
Yeah.
And in the end, Dino decided to quit. But because I was in LA and I was living with Dino at the
Yeah.
time, in East LA, I was the only fucking white guy there. I was told, don't go out at night on your own.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was living in the hood proper.
Yeah.
Like we'd hear gunshots at night and the fucking choppers. Just like the movies.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the eye in the sky and you
It's
get
all over demanufacture as well, Nick. I mean, people always talk about Fear Factory and robots, but like
yeah
that album has the soul of, pardon the pun, like, but has the soul of LA in it as well.
yeah
I think it's just a dangerous,
yeah.
smoky, smoggy, hot, violent city. Like,
It really is. But you know what, mate? When you live there and you spend a lot of time there, it's really you become desensitized to it very quickly.
I
It just becomes part of everyday norm.
suppose, yeah.
I know one time um, we'd been out drinking in Hollywood. We were at the fucking Rainbow, and we're driving back to the pad, and we lived on a cul-de-sac.
Hmm.
And if you've been to the States, like the roads just go on for fucking miles in a
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
line. So we're going down the main road, Broadway, and we live just off of Broadway. And so we're going down Broadway, and in the distance we can see all the cop lights. Like, what the fuck? And as we get closer, we realise, fuck, that's our street.
Oh,
It was all cornered off, like police tape, and we go to turn in, and they fucking, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, well, we live here. It's like, you can't go anywhere. There's an active shooter,
oh shit.
on our fucking street, and it's a
Yeah.
cul-de-sac, and literally there's like choppers in the sky, like three of them, all fucking spotlights on our pad and the surrounding neighbors, and yeah, it was, fucking mental.
Yeah.
But when you're there and you live it every day, you really do become desensitized to it very quickly. I had fucking gangbangers, cholos roll up on me because I went down to the store just to get some fucking snacks and some drinks,
Hmm.
and they rolled up to me in like the 6'4" Impala,
Yeah.
all like blinged, and they're
The
like,
whole
"Yo,
thing.
man,
Yeah.
yo, man, what the fuck? Where you going, man?" I'm like, "Gate Street, bro." and, and it totally threw him off guard because of the accent,
Yes.
and I knew where I was going,
Yeah, of
and
course.
I told my roommates, and they're like, "Dude, you're lucky. They could have fucking shot you."
Yeah.
And I was sort of told you never go out alone at night, and when I'm with when I'm with my Mexican bros, I was safe, but
Yeah.
a white boy in the hood at night, is a no go.
How long were you there for?
Um, oh, for about 18 months on and off.
Yeah.
I was like doing like 6 weeks at a time, like there, and then coming home 6 weeks, and but my marriage at the time, my first marriage, it was on the rocks,
Yeah.
and things weren't going well, so I was spending more time in Los Angeles
Hmm.
because it was escapism as well.
Of course. Yeah.
I went home back to the UK, and it was just fucking doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Like the wife wasn't even pleased to fucking see me.
Yeah.
After being away for 6 weeks, so
I guess
I
she.
knew I knew it was done.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you know, I spent more and more time in Los Angeles, and then I had to come home and face the music at some point, and that's when, you know, I split up with my first wife, and then I got into tour managing.
That's right. Yeah, you tour managed was a Exodus.
Yeah, I worked for Exodus for 8 years in a crew capacity.
Yes.
I did a lot of work for the Metal Easy agency in Belgium,
Hmm.
which used to do all of the tours. Like yeah, used to do. They were the booking agent for
Hmm.
all of the metal tours. In like the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked for Nile, Hate Eternal, Propane, Morbid Angel, Agnostic Front. Yeah, fucking love. And when my marriage broke down, I literally just jumped from tour to tour. I spent like 3 months in Europe.
Hmm.
I was on tour with Nile. Like that tour would start in Amsterdam and then finish in like Stockholm, and then from Stockholm I would fly to Prague and just join another tour straight away. And that
So,
tour would finish it in London, and then I'd fly, to like Barcelona to join another tour.
but you weren't playing much at this stage then.
On and off, but
Yeah.
the music had kind of dried up a little bit because I wasn't in the big band anymore.
Yes.
And it really hit me financially, and that's why I got into the whole tour managing game, really. And there was like Brujeria stuff here and there sporadically, and I was doing session work for like Ancient and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
Benediction,
Yeah.
but my main gig was tour managing, crewing, and yeah, I've always had an interest in that side of things, so it made sense to transition to that while the drumming had gone a little bit quiet.
Yeah, because it kind of keeps
And
you in the scene.
yeah, and also I think a lot of the bands appreciated it, me being a musician,
Yes.
so I'm always looking out for the musician
Hmm.
rather than some fucking dodgy tour manager that's not shooting straight dice.
Well, that's the thing. Obviously, with your time in Cradle, you were kind of yeah, you knew what to look out for and what how not to behave in a managerial
Yes,
capacity,
yeah,
So
yeah, and the rule number one about tour managing is if you make sure the band's happy
yeah,
and they've got all the little things, like he needs weed, he needs a doctor, you take care of all that shit,
yeah,
that you're gonna have a easy day because when the band's happy, it just makes your life so much easier, because you've not got like five grown men in your fucking ear all the time. "Meh, meh, the
yeah.
ice isn't cold enough," and blah, 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 you know.
So how did you get out of that then?
Just basically the drumming picked up again,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I really missed playing because, when I was crewing, I also was a drum tech as well,
Hmm.
and it kind of um, a lot of people said the same thing to me that kind of resonated and kind of made me think, fuck, so many people like, dude, why are you carrying the drums and
Mm,
setting up the drums when you should be playing the drums?
yeah.
And it kind of made me think, yeah, they're right. It's like maybe I'm selling myself short a little bit here. You know, but
Tricky
you
thing
know,
too, Nick, going from Cradle of Filth, who were arguably, I'm just going to come out and say it, really the biggest metal band in the world, arguably in 1998, if you consider,
they were they were
yeah,
the biggest black metal band in the
yeah.
world.
But even if you take it a little bit bigger, that in terms of public exposure and you know value is not the right word to use, but in terms of momentum, like I said earlier, Cradlefield were on the up astronomically at the time
Yeah.
when Metallica were sort of in the doldrums post Reload.
Yes.
Slayer
Yes.
had just put out their worst album, arguably.
Oh God. No.
Blaze, lots of respect for Blaze Bailey, but Iron Maiden weren't doing so hot off the back of
Yep.
Virtual 11. Do you know what I mean? And then Cradle of Filth just like sneaks up and sneaks up. So yeah, you were really on the top, and then you jump ship from there to Dimmu, and then you're arguably in an even bigger,
Yes.
the European equivalent of that.
Yeah.
That'll be hard to come down, not come down from, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean, to not go into another, regular. gig,
Yeah,
so to speak.
it was. I mean, to be honest, to jump from one like huge established band and join another, it kind of spoiled me a little bit.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
so when I got fired from Dimmu, it really was like a wake up call. But I knew how much I was getting fucked in Cradle because the very first tour I did with Dimmu was 7 weeks in Europe with Dark Funeral on
Hmm.
the Spiritual Black Dimensions tour. I made more money on that tour than I ever did ever with Cradle of Filth,
Yeah, of course.
and
So
that
you're
just
just
made me,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
that just made me
I was
realize
right, you know?
I was getting seriously fucked,
Yeah.
and you know, respect to the Dimmu management. They were fully transparent. They got me some killer endorsement deals.
Hmm.
They really had my back.
Yeah.
Yeah, helped me with a lot of things Cradle related too.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
In terms of like legal and stuff.
Yes. Okay. Why? What? I mean, why were Cradle coming after you?
Oh, they weren't coming after me. It's just like stuff like when you quit, you can request separate accounting.
Hmm.
So your money doesn't go to their management, and they just take a nice fucking percentage for doing nothing.
Yeah.
And much to the management's disgust, I issued
Of
them with
course. Yeah.
the writ, and they were like, but there's nothing they could do because it was totally legal.
Of course. Yeah.
But yeah, just stuff like that, and making sure that everything was above board,
Mm.
which in Cradle of Filth is like virtually impossible.
Yeah.
But yeah, respect to Dimmu and their management. It really opened my eyes to just how it should be, really.
Yeah. So you kind of saw the top of the mountain from two different sides,
Yeah,
really. Yeah.
yeah. And also, well, when I played in Testament, that was another eye opener because again, an established band.
Hmm.
I did a world tour with them. I mean, my first tour with them was in Australia.
Yes.
And just a band at that level and that level of professionalism. It was like, yeah, this is great, and it's
How
just
long did?
unfortunate.
Sorry. Yeah.
You know,
Go ahead.
it's just unfortunate, that I got deported, from the States, and I
What?
kind of
What's the
ended
story
my.
there?
Well, what happened is you know, there was no drummers in the Bay Area available at that time.
Hmm.
And they were using Paul Bostaph was drumming for them, and Eric Peterson was a huge black metal fan,
Hmm.
and he wanted me to play on his black metal record. So I think that's why he wanted me in Testament, so he could kind of
Getcha.
butter me up,
Yeah.
to play his black metal band. But it was just a carbon copy of Dimmu and Cradle, and I'd already done that.
Yeah. Of course.
So when I told him I didn't want to do it, it kind of hurt his feelings,
Yeah, it's a shame.
a little bit. He
Yeah.
was a little bit pissed, and I didn't mean no disrespect. It's just I've already been there and seen it and done it,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the reasons why I got the Testament gig.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too long after I declined his offer that I got deported.
He pulled
You
some
know,
strings.
well, what happened was I was in California writing what would have been the Formation of Damnation.
Hmm.
I did all the pre-production, the demos for that,
Okay.
and so we were writing the album during the week, and
Hmm.
then at the weekend flying to Europe to do festivals.
Okay.
So I was in and out of the States on a fucking on a
Yes.
visa waiver. And I just got this fucking Jobsworth prick in Minneapolis. Like, why are you in and out of the country 3 times a month?
Yeah.
What do you do for employment that you can sustain this type lifestyle? And I was like, well, I bullshitted him. It's like, well, my girlfriend lives in Oakland, and I stay with her during the week, and I go to Europe to work at the weekends. And he said, well, what do you do for work? I work in the entertainment industry. What in the entertainment? Musician.
Yeah.
And then he fucking, what do you do? What do you play? drummer. And then, dude, he fucking Googled me right there at the immigration
Yeah.
desk, right? Nicholas Barker, drummer. And then he turned the fucking computer monitor around and went, "Do you care to explain this?" And it's all blabbermouth, like
Yeah.
Testament, Bay Area legends recruit, UK drummer Nick Bott, and like all of these East Coast dates that we had planned
Yeah, yeah.
down for the underground. And he's like, "Do you
Fuck.
care to explain this?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, fuck. Look, okay, look, I'm not a criminal. I'm a I'm a musician.
Yeah.
I'm not the first guy to do this. I won't be the last. It's a fair cop. You got me." And then he hit the panic button, and two fucking goons came and
And
put
that
me in
was it.
handcuffs and threw me in a cell.
Yeah.
And then I was on the same plane that came in on going out.
Okay, hell. I mean, you
Yeah,
couldn't make it up, really. All it takes is one person,
yeah.
really loves their job to.
Oh yeah. Well, this guy. I mean, I remember being in the line, and he was sending fucking old ladies, like these sweet
Yeah,
old dears,
yeah,
to like secondary inspection and shit. I'm like, fuck.
yeah.
And yeah. So
So that guy's
you,
what that guy's the reason that you didn't play on Formation of Damnation then.
yes, but I did all the
Motherfucker.
pre-production.
Yeah. Is any of that stuff has that ever leaked out or anything? Do you know?
No, I don't think so. No, they're
No.
just like home demos that
Yeah, yeah.
we made at Chuck's place.
Yes, I get you.
In the studio, in the jam room. But my time in Testament was great. I really love those guys.
Yeah.
And it was.
You'd be a great fit. Yeah, absolutely great fit
I think
for
so.
that
Yeah, it's
band,
just
yeah.
unfortunate that you know, in order to get me a visa, it would have cost the band like $5,000. And like at the time, oh, that was it. Paul Bostaph was playing in Exodus at the time,
Hmm.
and when I got the call as well that like, dude, I'm not in Exodus anymore. I kind of knew that, my days were pretty much numbered as well,
Yeah.
because it makes sense. Why fly a guy over from the UK all the time and have to fucking babysit him when there's Paul Bostaph right there in town,
Yeah.
that can do the gig,
And both staff left Exodus because hunting was coming back, is that right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And then, yeah, it's it's very incestuous, the
Yeah.
Bay Area scene. Yeah, so Paul quit Exodus, and then took over from Testament with me. But he did actually give me props. He said that the drumming that I played on the home demos. He
Mhm.
said some of it was really inspiring.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I listened to what he did, which was an extension of what I did on the
Yes.
demos, and I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have done that now.
Yes, I
You
get
know?
you. Yes, I influence. Yes, the circle of influence there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an
And,
interesting situation.
and then he went back to Slayer, and then Gene went back into Testament.
Ah, yes, uh-huh. So
You
who's
know,
playing for Testament now then?
it's some young kid, Chris.
Is Dovis, isn't it? Chris Dovis?
Yes, yes,
Yes, yeah,
he's
yeah.
fucking brilliant.
Yes,
I
uh-huh,
love
absolutely.
his playing.
Yeah,
And the New Testament, they're throwing blast beats in. It sounds fucking great.
yeah.
It really does.
Blast beats should
It,
not be restricted to the
no,
extreme
but
sector,
you can really hear Eric's love of black metal too, because
Yeah,
some of the riffs, when with the blasts too,
yeah.
it just it's a whole new twist on Bay Area thrash. I absolutely love it.
It's nice to see a bit of
Like,
evolution in such an
yeah,
established genre from such an established
absolutely.
band,
And I mean, Dave Lombardo, Gene Hoglan, Paul Bostaph, they're big shoes to fill.
Yes,
And Chris fucking fits perfect. He
yeah,
really does. I haven't met him yet, but I'm sure he's a really cool guy, and the Testament guys seem to love him. So, you
nice
know,
one. Are you listening to anything else new these days? Did you hear the new Mayhem
uh,
album out?
yes, I
Yeah,
absolutely fucking love it. I'm a little bit biased too, because me and Jan are really good mates.
yeah, yeah,
He's been over to the UK and stayed with me, before, and I've stayed at his place in Norway sometimes. When I wasn't in Dimmu, and you know, they recently played in Vancouver, and it was fucking brilliant. I just love that band. To me, like Immortal, Dark Throne, early Dark Throne, Emperor and Mayhem. They're like the epitome of Norwegian black metal for me.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
But
like Nightside Eclipse, Dimmu Pure Holocaust.
yeah,
You know, it's the shit for me. Like Blazing the Northern Sky.
yeah,
You know, it was just brilliant music, and it's such a magical time too. Like I was saying before, like in '86 when all the Killer
hmm
Thrash albums dropped, it was fresh and new. Then it was the same 30 years ago with the black metal. You know, Pure Holocaust and
yes,
Side Eclipse, The Mysterious. You know, like Impel Nazarene, Ugra Karma.
yeah. You'd be talking 93, 94 kind of for most of that
Yeah,
stuff, wouldn't you?
yeah.
Yeah,
You know, and yeah, it was just like I say, it was fresh then, and like
yes.
wow, you know, it
Especially
really did
because
have a wow factor.
it became so um I don't want to say, I don't want to use the word copycat, but like it wore out its welcome very quickly, that mid 90s wave of black metal. And I think even if you look at what Mayhem were doing towards the end of the decade and then into the 2000s as
Yeah,
well, they kind of moved away from that stuff very
yeah,
quickly.
but
And the Dark Throne changed a lot as well. And Emperor,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
almost every Emperor album is completely different,
yeah. Dark Throne really changed. I mean, if you listen to like the last album to Blazing a Northern Sky, you'd think they were totally different bands, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, like I get the natural evolution of Emperor and Mayhem.
hmm
You know, the Emperor evolution. I think towards the end, like Prometheus 9, it got a little bit too tech and
Yeah.
procky. You know, I
Some
love
of the
Nightside
keyboardy
Eclipse.
stuff really dates that album, I think.
Yeah, but like also Anthems as well is a killer album.
Yeah.
You know, but it's funny because you know when in the early '90s when black metal dropped and you know death metal was stagnating, I remember all the fucking black metal bands talking shit about death metal. You know, and
Yeah.
the no mosh, no fun.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then as black metal evolved, it started to cross over into like the Black Death thing,
Yeah.
which I absolutely love. You know,
Best of
and
both worlds.
yeah, I mean, I love stuff like I mean, Angel Corpse, like Exterminate. That album is like godly.
Yeah.
You know, it's just savage.
I'll have to check which one. Exterminate.
Yes,
I'll check that out. Yeah.
yeah, you should do. Check out the song "Reap the Whirlwind."
Okay. Yeah.
It
I know.
doesn't disappoint.
Okay.
And yeah, like new stuff. I mean, fuck, I'm so out of touch. I really like Scour. Have you heard the Anselmo like black metal thing?
Oh, with the Faust on drums.
No,
Was
it's
it?
not
No, no, no,
Frost.
no, no. What I'm thinking of
No, it's
something
Adam
else.
Jarvis from Misery Index
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
drums. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It's Phil Anselmo doing black metal, and it's nasty.
You can even tell on Great Southern Trendkill that there was a lot of energy in Pantera that was coming from like a place of real extremity. Do you know what I mean? You could
Yeah.
tell that if it wasn't Dime and Vinny, that it was Phil that wanted to go in that direction.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting to see him doing something like that.
Yeah. You know, it sounds great. You should check it out. It's really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, I love Goat Whore as well. They're one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
But I'm so out of touch. I mean, you know, I couldn't tell you what's hot and what's not any. I'm an old guy.
I'm
you
I'm
know.
I'm the same. Yeah, I find it very hard to keep on top of. I also find that an awful lot of new stuff comes out. I don't mean it sounds the same musically, but like the sonics of everything has become very homogenized. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah,
because everyone's using. It's all on the computer now. Everyone's
yeah.
using fucking Easy Drummer like
Yes.
sound replacement.
hmm
Everyone's using Kemper profile amps.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, and you know everyone's because it's like on Pro Tools or Cubase or whatever now. So any like imperfection on the drums is corrected.
Yes.
And like I think a lot of the modern stuff, like the people that produce it, they're listening with their eyes and not their ears.
How do you
You
mean?
know, they're just looking at a grid,
Yes. Yeah.
and when something's off, like they correct it, and
Yeah.
it
If it
kind
goes
of
above a certain line or something like that, then it means
yeah
it's yeah.
yeah, and it's kind of everything kind of sounds the same now, doesn't it? A lot of it,
Yeah, it does. That's
you
a
know what I
beautiful
mean?
thing
So
about listening to that new Mayhem album. It took me so long to to kind of like get a handle on it, because
Yeah,
the atmosphere is so overwhelming that you nearly can't appreciate the music at
well,
first,
Attila, he's an artist
Yeah,
himself. I mean, the guy's like fucking Picasso on vocals.
he's an extraordinary performer. Yeah,
Yeah, and like visually and everything. I mean,
yeah,
I think he has a lot of input with the aesthetics.
yeah.
When it comes to Mayhem. But I the the new stage show looks amazing.
Yes,
I,
they're not playing over here for the first time
no,
in years, so
no,
I'm not
but
getting a chance to see
I
it.
think they will. They'll, they're going to hit a lot of places on this new record.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw some photos from Europe, and the stage set looks killer.
Did you record with Charles from Mayhem?
Hmm.
Yeah, what was that? That was that project.
That was Shining. The
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, which I'm really proud of, but unfortunately, it's not really. It kind of got released and then just disappeared because I don't know. Nicholas is a very, very, very talented guy.
Hmm.
I've got a lot of respect for him, but he's his own worst enemy.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, he's mental and psychological issues and addiction problems.
Oh yeah.
They totally overshadow his creativity sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, it's a shame because it kind of stigmatizes him a little bit because people are reluctant to work with him because he's very unpredictable and impulsive.
Okay, yeah.
And I think he struggles with social anxiety.
Yes.
So he kind of like masks it with, booze and pills and drugs and shit.
Yeah. I suppose
You
that
know,
limits in, I mean, in terms of live performance, if you ever wanted to get out on the road
yeah,
and
I mean,
make a bit of money off a project like that too.
he's too unpredictable.
Yeah.
I mean, every album it's a different lineup. Live, it's a different lineup,
Yeah.
and he, it just takes for him to drink a bottle of whiskey and fucking, self harm or get arrested, and then
Yeah.
the tour's fucked.
Yeah.
It's a real shame because I've got nothing but love and respect for him. And
That
like
is a
he's
shame.
so talented. You know,
So would you have been considered sort of work for hire on that record then?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
It,
how do you approach something like that? I mean, are you given parts? Like I know with the Obskkvult, if I'm saying that right,
yes.
album that you did, you were given parts for that you then had
No.
to
Well,
play, or
they submitted songs, but because we didn't get time to rehearse,
hmm
and I was in Los Angeles with Brujeria,
yes,
they flew me into Spain to do it. We literally like just played it like riff by riff
yeah.
because like if you listen to the patterns, some of it's like fucking Meshuggah. I was like, holy fuck, how am I going to do this?
Your playing on that album is astounding,
Thank you.
but it's too quiet.
Right.
I thought that was my only complaint when I was listening to it. Is the one thing that cuts through is the bass drums sound fucking
Yeah.
incredible, and I think it's because of um. And I'm not throwing shade, as the young people say here, but I think it's because it complements the guitar playing, and that's why it's so loud in the mix.
Well, there's a
Everything
lot.
else would
Yes.
combat the guitar playing a little. So
There's a lot of syncopation between the guitars and the drums.
yeah,
Um, Roy, the guitarist, fucking amazing guitar. Dimebag was his hero, so
yes,
kind of like a mixture of like Strapping Young Lad meets Meshuggah meets Pantera.
yeah,
You know,
that is.
and
It's a great release.
yeah. So we approached it because we didn't have time to rehearse or anything as a collective unit.
Hmm.
I literally they flew me in. I was jet lagged. They got me an amazing kit, Pearl reference, and I just said, look, this is like really complex shit.
Hmm.
We're gonna fucking, it's gonna take forever if you want me to try and like go through the songs as a composition
Yeah,
in one take. The best thing to do is let's just fucking nail it. Like we'll just focus on, one riff, two riffs at a time,
yeah,
and get it super tight, and then cut and paste just to
yeah,
save time. And like rather than making it like cookie cutter as they say
hmm
over here. When we cut and paste, what I would do is I would they would drop me in, and I would do like a different fill on the end of one version, so
Yes.
it wasn't just a carbon copy, if you like,
Yeah, I get you.
So it just added a little bit more flavor,
Yeah.
and that's how we approached it. And otherwise, it would have took me forever because I really didn't have time or anything to rehearse or jam that music, and it's so fucking complex.
Yeah.
Some of the patterns, like, which was new for me, and it actually really helped me as a player. Some of the patterns, you lead with the left,
Yes.
and
That's a big thing. I've not
yeah,
fooled around with that at all. Like,
yeah, you should try it.
yeah,
It's great for the stamina on the left leg, yeah,
yeah,
and also it helps with the dexterity as well.
yeah. Because I can tell listening to some of Raymond Herrera's patterns and Fear Factory, and people are you could argue that people sort of play rings around Raymond at doing what Raymond sort of created and pioneered.
Yeah,
You guys can do it better now because they've had decades to study it and stuff. But even
sure.
even some of the stuff that he was coming out with on like Obsolete and Digimortal in particular are
Yes.
probably less heavy than the first two albums. But the foot pattern stuff is, I can't get my head around it. I think an awful lot of it does. It starts with the left foot nearly before the line, before the beat starts, before the
Yeah.
bar, and then drops
Yeah.
into it. And I'm like, how do you rewire my brain to play like that?
And the thing about Raymond is too, he's a pioneer of that kind of style, that
Hmm.
syncopated,
Yeah,
style that so many fucking bands do today. And it's all owed to Raymond Herrera.
100%. And no, you know, I've bored all my friends talking about this, but like he does not get the credit for it at all.
No, he
You know,
doesn't. When the whole like Fear Factory beef went down,
yeah,
he just was like folk music. He makes more money, making music for video
that's
games.
right. Yeah,
And we're still in contact. He actually reached out to me when he knew I got sick. And said if there's anything I can do to help, bro, just holler.
that's a good dude.
He really is.
Yeah,
Like I love Raymond. He's awesome.
yeah. He's again, he's him, Igor, you, not to but heroes of mine in the drumming scene, and also people that seem like not assholes, which is rare in the music world, I think. So yeah. No, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. It's nice to hear too that sense of community amongst drummers.
Yes, there really
Um,
is. I think with guitarists, it's a little bit more competitive.
Everything's up front.
Yeah, but with drummers, I mean, it's an exclusive club,
Yeah,
and like yeah, it's I, everyone, in the drum community, like everyone's just cool.
yeah,
We're the guy at the back. We don't want the spotlight. We just want to be, heard, not seen.
yeah,
And with the backbone of the music. I mean, it's a shame that drummers get such a bum deal, really.
yeah,
Like when it comes to, like the food chain, you're at the fucking bottom. But
yeah.
we're the glue that keeps the shit together. And the moment the drummer stops playing, the whole fucking band falls apart.
It's true, and it's like it's the in some senses it's the most disposable, replaceable role.
Yeah.
There's that the whole joke in Spinal Tap is the amount of drummers that
Yep.
they've been
It,
through,
it really is. I
and
mean,
yet,
that's why. That's why like right now I feel like a dinosaur because there's so many young kids now that like they're so fucking fast,
hmm
and like it's I can't keep up. I'm at the age now where blast beats don't impress me anymore.
uh
I'm all about the groove.
yeah. Well, that's something I was gonna say is like, what if so? Say you get the kidney, and you're able to start, building back that stamina to go with the muscle memory, and you
Yes.
you could play whatever you want. What do you think you'd be playing?
I'd like to do more black metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, some unrelenting like black metal thing.
Yes. Uh-huh.
If
Simplistic or, because black
um,
metal sometimes comes with simplicity sometimes.
I like the meat and potatoes aspect of black metal, but also, throw in like some prog shit too.
Yes, yeah.
To spice it up.
Well,
But I don't,
You're a Neil Peart fan, aren't you?
yes, huge Neil
Yeah.
fan. I'd love to do a prog thing too. you know.
I would love to hear you do it. You did a little bit of that on uh Byford's album, the two tracks that you did on School of Hard Knocks.
Yes,
There's
yes,
there's a proggy element to those two songs, which
yeah,
are easily the best songs on the
and also
album. But
when I did the Twilight of the Gods album,
yes, yeah,
yeah,
I detected Twilight of the Gods. I thought was your Clive Burr
yes,
moment, you
well,
know.
Clive Burr meets Nico with a
Yeah,
little hint of Neil thrown in.
yes,
I wanted to approach the drums like I'd never done before, like no triggers,
hmm
fully acoustic, analog tape,
yeah.
and like just like you know, huge fills, and just groove.
It's very it's probably unique in your sort of catalog in terms of it not having any of what, not none, but it doesn't have much of what you would be sort of synonymous with, which is
Yes,
like you say,
well,
unrelenting, blast,
yeah,
feet,
that's
all
what
of that stuff. Yeah.
I wanted to do something like total, like uh, different to what I've done before. No blast beats,
hmm
no double kick, no triggers. Just like full on, like just heavy metal, the stuff I grew up listening to.
Was any of that sort of, to show that you could?
Um, Not really. I just wanted to do a change.
Yeah.
It's it's very easy in metal to get pigeonholed.
Yes.
So I just wanted to do something totally different. I mean, you know, I've done um, I've done session work for like producer friends like Russ Russell.
hmm
I did a project for this Colombian couple. They were husband and wife, and it was
Oh,
kind of like almost like Lacuna Coil. You
oh yeah.
know,
What was that?
I can't remember the fucking name of it now. It was so long ago. But yeah, and then I did a thing again with Russ Russell, and it was a project called Dust,
hmm
and it was very melancholic, like kind of like Sisters of Mercy meets Alice in Chains.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like in a like Bauhaus.
Yeah.
And it just like I love music.
hmm
It doesn't matter what good music's good music.
Yeah.
It can be a pop song I hear on the radio, or it could be like some like ultra lo-fi necro fucking black metal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge old school hip hop fan
All right. Yeah.
too, and like in the early '90s, my jams was like West Coast hip hop and fucking Norwegian black metal.
Yeah.
Uh, you couldn't get more opposite ends of the spectrum.
If only there was a way to fuse the two.
Well, here's where there's a parallel,
Yeah.
because there's only two genres that cause the most outrage amongst parents and religious groups and
Of
everything,
course. Yeah.
and the only two genres where they were all killing each other.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, being in the scene could be hazardous to your health.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, good music's good music, mate. I
Yeah.
love goth. I love metal. I love outlaw country.
Yes.
I'm good friends with Hank 3. I'd love to fucking jam with Hank.
How does that
You
happen? How did you hook up with Hank?
Well, he's a huge Brujeria fan.
Fuck, the wonders never cease,
And if you listen to the intro on Poncho Aslan,
Uh-huh.
there's like a helicopter,
Yes.
and it's like the immigration,
Yeah,
like they're like when they're trying to jump the border on the Rio Grande.
that's right. Yeah.
There's one guy, the motherfucker, and it's like goddamn fucking wetbacks, and
Yeah.
that's Hank,
That's amazing.
you know. And
Um,
yeah, he's
yeah,
a huge Brujeria fan, and we always talk online, and
yeah.
I've always said I'd love to work with you in any capacity because I'm a
If
huge fan.
if something could
You
come
know,
up.
his fucking country stuff's amazing. I mean, it's like NWA lyrics with like country music.
Yeah.
Shit like the sheriff wants to kill me because I fucked his wife.
But like you said, there should be no music's music. Do you know what I mean? There should be
Yeah,
no stage at which you draw the line. I mean, come back to Igor Cavalera, like he was trying to blend, the sort of the extreme metal thing with hip hop, years ago, working
Yes,
with, was it Necro and Ill Bill and
yes, yeah,
guys like that, and
yeah.
yeah,
That's some more people I'd love to work with too, because
yeah,
they love metal and they're like, OGs in the hip hop New York hip hop scene.
nice one, yeah.
You know.
I think the stuff that I really like to hear you do is pretty much anytime you and Shane get together and you do something slow, something that builds, and there's a couple of
Yeah.
tracks on the Lock Up albums
Yes.
that have that.
Yeah. The title
Yeah,
track of Demonization is one of them.
yeah, that's really
You
really
know,
good stuff.
that's we were totally on a Triptychon vibe on that
Yes,
one.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, you can tell. I think there's a couple of the Brujeria albums have some of that on them as well, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to do something. Yeah, really slow and doomy with Shane,
yeah.
because the guy's a fucking riff master.
Well, so you and Shane is the longest relationship of your musical career. I'd be right in saying that, wouldn't I?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, I owe a lot to Shane.
yeah.
He's helped me a great deal with my career.
Hmm.
You know, he got me into Brujeria, which opened a lot of doors for me.
Yeah.
And also, we did lock up together.
He
Uh,
pop up in all kinds of places together because you did the Anil Nathric Peel session together. Is
yes,
that right? Yeah.
no, that was me and Frank Healy from Benediction.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
But we worked on John Walker from Cancer, his album Liquid Graveyard.
Liquid Graveyard. Was
Yes,
By Nature So Perverse.
yes,
Amazing album. Loved it.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, if you know my history, like that's how I started in the scene. Really, was being a roadie for Cancer back in the day.
Oh, right. So that would have been to the gory end,
Yeah,
Death Shall Rise kind of days, would it?
1990. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
The
Yeah.
very first tour I did was Cancer and Deicide
Right.
in,
Okay.
in 1990. I was 17, a total rookie. I didn't understand what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
But 2 days in, Benton's like saying, hey, you want to earn some extra quid, kid, and work for Deicide? I was, fuck yeah.
Deadly. Yeah.
I've been friends with Deicide ever since. A lot of people talk shit about Glenn, but
Yeah.
he's a really, really nice guy.
He seems like
When
it.
he like when he likes you, he likes you.
Yeah, I get that's the exact impression that I get from him. I've got one of the Deicide DVDs here where he's just talking about the history of the band, and he seems so personable in it. But at the same time, you get the impression that if you cross him, he'll be quick to
Yeah,
defend himself, as he
he,
should.
he can be a moody little so and so sometimes.
Yeah,
But I mean, he's had me and him go way back, and I've got nothing but love and respect for him, and it goes both ways.
yeah.
And he's when you get to know him, he's fucking hilarious. He really is.
Yeah.
He's such a funny guy.
Well, what's the story that he walked into, was it Monty Connor's office and threw the Deicide tape on the desk and said, like, sign my band, you fucker, or something like that, and just
Pretty
left.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember before I did the tour with them in 1990, and there was like the whole like Roadrunner press
Mm.
for Deicide, because there was a big thing, this totally trumps Altars of Madness, in terms of evilness and
Yeah.
Satanism, and there was always that rivalry between the two bands.
Hmm.
And I remember, I think it was in Kerrang, and they were doing press for the upcoming UK tour. And I remember him saying, I mean, I was 17, so I fucking soaked this shit up like a sponge,
Hmm.
and I was, an impressionable teenager.
Yeah.
And I remember he said something like, "Oh yeah, when we come to England, we're gonna take the boat because if we fly, it means we're too close to heaven." Some shit like that, and it was
Yeah.
like, "Fucking yes."
Yes. Oh, that's what you want to hear at that age. Yeah.
And dude, when I first heard the first album, the
Yeah.
self-titled album, those vocals are the sickest in death metal. I
Yeah.
don't care what anybody says. The whole like multi-layer, the
Yeah.
highs, the lows, and then doing the demonic voices and shit
Yeah.
behind. I thought fucking demons were coming out of the speakers.
It's extraordinary, and I mean, obviously, he had to kind of pick one of those registers whenever he was performing live, but they always sounded so good live as well. They were
Yes,
so tight whenever the Hoffmans were in the
yeah,
band.
yeah. I really wish he would have kept that vocal style from the
Yeah.
first album, but he kind of just went more kind of like guttural
Yes.
which I love.
Yeah.
But, there's something magical about that first Deicide record.
Direction it was going towards the mid-90s, it was almost like the competition, and I suppose Barnes was leading the competition there, which is like
Yes.
how low can you go? This needs to
Yeah.
be unintelligible,
I know. I mean, I'm a huge Corpse Grinder fan personally.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
when he took the reins from Cannibal, it was just they went from good to even better.
Well, here, listen. I mean, if you're a Corpse Grinder fan, right, and you'll be a fan surely of Monstrosity
Yes.
and Lee Harrison, another one of
Oh, Lee.
those. How the fuck did
Lee.
he? How did you play that, drummers? Do you know what I mean? Like
I
listening
know.
to it, and you're just thinking, there's a third hand in there somewhere or
Yeah.
something?
I mean, Lee's so underrated, and
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
and he's such a great guy too. I mean, we toured with Monstrosity with Dimmu in 1999 in the States, and I got to know Lee very well. He's such a cool guy.
He's
All the Monstrosity guys were.
They've got something out recently, and he's still killing it. Yeah, really, really, really
Yeah.
good. I mean, it starts off slower, and you kind of think, oh, I need these guys slow down, and you get like halfway through the track, and you're like, there it is. That's what you wanted to hear.
Yeah. Again, he Lee knows where. Lee plays for the music. He plays for the song.
Yeah.
He knows where to fucking just groove out, and then he knows where to turn up the heat. I love his playing.
Yeah, and yeah, can you like you're saying earlier about yourself too, is that he's impressive without he's not showing off. Do you know what I mean? He's able to, just like you said, deploy when it needs to be.
Yeah, and he's always in the pocket. He knows exactly what the song or what the riff needs.
Yeah.
I love that about his playing.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely terrific player. You drinking a Starbucks there?
Yes.
What's your Starbucks order?
It's a quadruple espresso latte with sugar-free caramel.
What, quadruple espresso?
Yeah.
You're starting your day off right.
Yeah. I had to because today's like a non-dialysis day.
Yeah.
And my fucking wife decided to book us into acupuncture at 9 a.m. Like, fuck, woman. She wakes me up at 8:30, like, you better move your ass.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, fuck. She's like, don't worry, Starbucks will fix it.
A friend of mine was at work was telling me today that he wanted to try one of those the green matcha drinks that Starbucks does now. He was too embarrassed to walk through Belfast city centre. Obviously, he's this
get
Belfast
mentality.
He got it delivered to his house.
Oh, really?
Which was round the corner from the Starbucks at a cost of £17 total, which in UK is still a lot of money.
Well, it's a small price to pay for not getting stabbed, I suppose.
You have to be careful. Yeah, you have to have your pride.
Yeah.
How you fixed for time, Nick?
I'm good, mate. Good.
You're good. Mind if I run through a couple more things that have been
sure
sitting in my.
You have to excuse the unsteadiness. I'm talking to you through the iPad, and I don't have a stand for it.
No, man, it's cool. You're talking to me. That's good enough for me. So, there's one thing I always wanted to know about. There was a session that Cradle of Filth recorded, which I reckon would have been your last session with the band in Springfield Studios. Do you remember this?
Yes. What would it?
So you would have been working with
the
Mark.
Extra track.
Yeah, the extra tracks. Yeah.
Lust Maud, Hell Awaits, Lust,
Black Metal, and A Funeral in Carpathia.
No, that was the live one.
That was live.
That was from the Funeral in Carpathia. Was actually taken from the Astoria.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a
Springvale.
This is a testament to the performance of the band on those recordings, and then I guess the production of Mark Harward, if I'm right.
Yes.
Was that? I mean, what was the intention for those sessions? Was it just to get some stuff on tape that could go out on, bonus CDs, or was there?
Yeah. We just wanted some bonus tracks for different formats.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just before I quit, that the main riff in the song "Cradle to Enslave." I remember hearing that was floating around in the rehearsal room.
Oh, okay.
Just before I quit.
Yes.
And so it was funny that when the Pandemonium video came. Oh, I remember that riff.
Yes. Yeah.
The Funeral in Carpathia was taken from the Astoria
And
live tapes.
do you know if the Astoria, was there any reason why there was only 4, I think, tracks released from it? I mean, was the whole show recorded, or?
The whole show was recorded. Yeah, I just think I don't. You know what? I don't really know. I think it was down to budget, or I couldn't tell you. It's such a long time ago.
Yeah, and I
But
suppose
it's a
like,
shame that it was a shame that the whole concert
yeah,
didn't get released. I think you know what it was. I think there was something contractual because the fucking cacophonous songs.
yes, that of course that's what it would have been.
That totally makes sense now.
Um,
That's why there's only Dusk songs and
Dusk and
Cruelty.
Cruelty, yes, yeah.
You know, because
Of course,
it
so much
meant
of your set would have been, yeah,
yeah,
Vampire and
yeah,
Principle stuff, yeah,
yeah. So I think that was the reason why
yeah.
there's only that many songs.
And then so Lost Mord was re-recorded, I suppose. Was that an element of damage control for the way that Cruelty came out sounding, do you think?
No, we just decided, let's re-record a track from the Cruelty session,
Yeah,
and it just happened that that was the one that everyone agreed on.
yeah. It's a great
You know,
recording, yeah. It's very, very, and very
yeah,
live sounding, you know.
yeah,
You would have
yeah.
used that snare for a good couple of years after that. Would I be right that you, even
Yeah,
on the first 2 Lockup albums, you were playing that snare as
yeah,
well?
the free floater piccolo.
Yes, uh-huh.
Yeah,
Very
brass
distinctive
shell,
sound.
the brass shell.
Yeah. Wouldn't have played on Dimmu with that.
I did,
You
yes,
did, yes,
but
yeah.
it was. I think it was. Oh fuck! What? It wasn't the brass shell one. It was. Um, I think it was a birch or maple shell.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
And then were you
Like I
playing
said, it's a long time ago. Like I'm
of
really
course, I'm getting into the real
struggling to
nitty gritty
remember.
here, yes, unfortunately. Very
It's all good.
very nerdy questions had to come at some stage, I'm afraid.
To be honest, mate, it's great to talk shop
Yes,
about
yeah.
drums. It's really good.
What about there's a module mentioned in the liner notes for Puritanical.
Yeah, the Roland TD10,
TD10, yeah. So
which
did you
at
play
the
on an
time,
E kit then for the recording, or how did that, or was that for triggering, or what? How did that work?
it was well. I used it live for the
Yeah.
triggers, but we also used it in the studio for the samples.
Yes.
But the kind of thing, the one thing I kind of regret about the Puritanical session is I wish we would have made the trigger sounds a little bit more natural. At the time, triggers was the thing.
Yeah.
Everyone was doing the triggers, and I loved Grand Declaration of War.
Yeah. Same here.
Like
Yeah.
I want to trigger everything like Hellhammer.
Yeah.
And rather than thinking about dynamics,
Mm-hmm.
I just said no, put the velocity up full on everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And now when I listen back to it, I wish there would have been a little bit more dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is what it is. It's still a stand-up album, and I think that's one of the reasons why Shagrath hated it so much.
Yeah.
It sounded too clean.
It doesn't sound anything like the previous. That's an exaggeration, but it sounds very unlike the previous demo albums, I think. And again, that goes to what I was saying earlier about when you replace a drummer in a band, it can completely change the sound of the band. But
Yeah, and also like as I mentioned before, I was very hands-on with a lot of the arrangements.
Of course, yeah.
For Puritanical, I mean, like Kings of Carnival Creation.
Mm-hmm.
That was written the beginning riff. Mustis just started playing the keyboard pattern.
Yeah.
And I just did that that kick pattern, and I just said like, "Hey, syncopate the guitars with this."
Yeah.
And it fucking worked, and we were like, when you're in the jam room and you're just hashing out ideas, when everyone looks at each other and just nods like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you've
that
struck
moment of
gold."
discovery, that's why you're in there.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
you've struck gold.
Yeah.
And it's the same. It can work in the opposite way. You can be jamming something out, and you look around and everyone's like,
yeah,
it's
not working.
It works both ways. But with that particular part,
Yeah.
we fucking knew like we're onto something here.
Yeah.
And it just evolved from there. But that song took quite a long time to finish because we'd got sections and then we just couldn't seem to bridge the gaps. And then
Yeah.
one day it just happened.
Because I found that the first album that they recorded after you left, I didn't find the arrangements to be as satisfying. And even as a younger, less intense music listener back then, I remember thinking, I don't know if I thought at the time this is missing the Barker touch, but it's and that's no knock on Hellhammer, who is another
No,
iconic, incredible player. Like, but
not at
this,
all.
yeah,
I think with that album, they'd already kind of programmed the drums and made home demos and
yeah,
just said to Hellhammer, look, here's the tracks, this is what we want, just to kind
yeah,
of put touch to it,
because it doesn't sound like what he would do if you said get in there and play Hellhammer
Yeah,
drums on this.
yeah, for sure.
Um,
Um, I mean, to be honest with you, if I wouldn't have been fired when
mhm,
I was, I would have fucking quit after that album anyway, because no, it's the change in image,
yeah,
like the whole white thing shit, and it's like I understand they were trying to do something different, but
yeah.
like the fucking Pirates of the Caribbean thing, like
Are are
what
you,
was that?
are you resistant to the image side of the whole thing generally?
No,
No.
I understand the aesthetics
Yeah.
and the theatrics of black metal, of course, but to go from like the leather and the spikes
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
everything to like fucking, you know, white tassels and fucking,
Yeah.
like, and a fucking dead fox around you, fucking like, what the fuck, man?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
That was something in
like
the air back then. I remember Aaron Stainthorpe from My Dying Bride. He had the straps and the white around about that time as
yeah,
well. And I don't know what
yeah.
the fuck
I
that was
just
coming
didn't get
from. Like,
it.
yeah.
It was kind of, it just seemed like the whole like Norwegian black metal concept was kind of like diluted.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it didn't look threatening or menacing,
Yes. No,
or
it just it
intimidating.
it just yes, but it
Which,
just became another outlet for fashion of some sort.
yeah,
Yeah.
like for me, like black metal, especially Norwegian black metal,
Hmm.
that was the attraction. It's like it's intimidating, it's menacing, it's like
Yeah.
it looks threatening. Just the aesthetics.
Yeah.
And I think on that album with Hellhammer, they totally lost that kind of
Yeah.
direction. Like I think they were kind of like misguided a little bit.
Although Hellhammer in the video shoot for whatever of the Immortal songs that he did, he's got glitter on his face in that one, and he's
I'm
wearing,
not.
he's wearing the big gothic white puffy
Yeah,
shirt out in the
uh,
snow.
I,
So
I,
it's
I'd have to go and have a re-look at that. But
yeah,
I do remember, like, wasn't his kit on an iceberg?
yeah, something like
And
that.
it
Yeah,
fucking started floating away.
it was a strange thing too because he never recorded with Immortal. I suppose they just needed somebody for the image of the
Yeah,
video that they
but
had a drummer.
he jammed with Emperor for a little while too, but he never recorded anything.
Yeah.
And I would love to have heard him with Emperor, before Trim joined.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, I think between me and Hellhammer, we've fucking played with most of the black metal bands.
Yeah.
You know,
There's an amazing amount of crossover, like you said earlier, between the bands and people coming and going and stuff. You saying there about, you're being into the Triggers and kind of listening to Grand Declaration of War. When I was listening to that Anil Nathrak BBC session earlier, that's the first thing I thought was, fuck, Nick sounds like Hellhammer on this. I mean, do you think even then, is that something you were going for? Like,
well, the only thing we triggered on that was the snare and the kicks.
yes, yeah.
Well, the thing, because it was done at Maida Vale,
Hmm.
fucking, they were all one take.
Yeah.
And like Do Not Speak. I mean, we played it a couple of times and I wasn't happy, and then just fucking keep going for it. I drank about 20 Red Bulls,
Yeah.
and it was just like the guy, the engineer, was some old school fucking like BBC stalwart, like I recorded the Rolling Stones, don't you know? And
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I don't understand this crap music, and total tough,
Yeah.
fucking, like just set in his ways. So, he was like kind of sweating me a little bit because I was like, well, maybe I can do it. We don't have time, Rolling Stones didn't take this much time to do the drums.
Okay.
Well, let's see fucking Charlie Watts do that then.
Yeah, yeah. You
You
think they would
know?
have had somebody, in their pocket that they could have used for? I mean, obviously, like peel sessions, you're talking
Yeah,
carcass,
but I mean,
bolt thrower, napalm. They should have had the history of somebody that could go, right. We've got some of these,
no,
long hairs coming in. Can we get the?
it's the same. I think it was the same dude.
Really?
Like
Yeah,
yeah, and like just jaded and disgruntled, and
yeah.
old school fucking BBC, probably a nonce. You know.
Might have to cut that out for legal reasons, but yeah.
Well, I didn't mention any names,
No, it's certainly true. Yes,
so
no, we can't be
we're
held.
good.
Yeah,
So
we're good.
we're good. You
Um,
can always bleep it out, and everyone will know what I want to.
I don't bleep it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to bleep it out. Um, what about Borstal?
Yeah, so that was another thing. Again, like we were touching on, good music is good music.
Yeah.
I love hardcore and punk too.
Hmm.
I got into punk and hardcore because all the thrash bands that I listened to as a kid
Yeah,
in the 80s, they were all wearing Discharge and Exploited and GBH shirts.
that's right. Yeah.
And then you'd read the thanks list or like Anthrax and stuff, and
Hmm.
they'd be thanking all the New York bands, Crumbsuckers, Agnostic Front,
Yeah.
Leeway, Murphy's Law, like, and same like Cryptic Slaughter.
Yes.
Like I discovered Vermac, Spastic Blur, The Accused,
Yeah.
all those bands, and I've always loved like punk and hardcore, and so again I wanted to do something different, and that's when I approached my mates Lee and Wes that played in the band Dripback,
Okay.
and yeah, we just decided, like let's just do some like our tip of the hat to the New York
Yeah.
hardcore scene, and unfortunately it didn't go anywhere because those guys are all like 9 to 5 guys, so they're not full-time musicians,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
so I mean it was, we got offered like a Sick of It All tour we couldn't do, and
Yeah.
like a whole bunch of shit, and it was just unfortunate really, but I
Well,
mean, those guys, they're my bros and I love them to death, and it was fun while it lasted.
was
Plus I moved to Canada as well.
well, that's the thing I was going to ask. Yeah. Did you do any of the dates on the Brujeria Borstal tour at all, or did that happen after you
No,
get sick? Or
no, but I did go to Manchester and London, which was the last two shows,
hmm.
because I've not seen the Brujeria guys since they literally dumped me at hospital in North Carolina and then
Yeah.
fucked off.
Hmm.
Poor. I felt a little bit hurt,
Yeah.
that there was a sense of abandonment a little bit.
Hmm.
But, looking back in hindsight, I totally understand the show must go on, and they had to fucking continue.
Yeah.
And
Well, like you said, the
luckily,
amount of commitment and money that could have been,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and reputation and everything could have been jeopardized.
exactly. And luckily for us, Juan Brujo's son, JC, he was our van driver, but he's also a killer drummer.
Yeah.
Since he was a small kid, me and Adrian, as you know, Adrian played in Brujeria as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Me and Adrian, throughout, the kid's life, we give him like drumsticks and cymbals and stuff,
Yeah.
and he turned out to be an amazing drummer on his own.
Yeah.
Luckily for the band, he saved the tour. He saved their asses really, because otherwise, without a drummer at hand, the tour would have been fucked.
Yeah.
And, and I would have felt terrible, like it was all on me. So he went from dropping me off at the at the hospital, to like, you've got 6 hours to learn the set. You're on stage tonight.
Yeah.
And he nailed it. Respect to him.
He did. That was the first gig I went to, probably like post COVID, and hadn't been to a show in years. And I'd heard At Her Majesty's Pleasure. I was
Yeah,
so thrilled when your drums, on their own kick off
yeah,
that EP, and the sound of them is just so full and fucking brilliant. But I remember when I was listening to it, and then Dark Path, I think, came out after that as well, thinking that like this is music that's meant to be played live. Do you know what I mean? With
yeah.
all of the rousing kind of sing along chorus and all those parts. And sure enough, yeah, it was music in the
Well, the
live,
thing,
setting. Like
yeah,
Pierre spent half the show in the sweaty Belfast crowd, you know what I mean? But it was all about positivity. It was such a fucking good show, like, you
Yeah,
know. And then
brilliant.
Brujeria obviously played after that, and
Yeah.
like you said,
Well,
Brujo's son killed it, like.
my plan was, see, originally I was going to play for Borstal
Hmm.
on the tour.
Yeah.
Um, but treatment was fucking wiping me out, and my wife was like, look, please reconsider this. I don't want you to fucking kill yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be playing a show every night. In the sweaty clubs. You've got to carry your gear in. I mean, of course, the band's gonna help, but you've got to carry your gear in, set it up, break it down. All the yada yada.
Yeah.
Being a support band, there's no fucking crew
Yeah. Yeah.
or the luxury of help or whatever. And it was my wife. So I'm quite stubborn. I was like, no, 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 I can do it. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And we'd actually arranged for me to have dialysis treatment on the road.
Okay.
I was getting treated in Sheffield, and I told them about the tour, and they were like really excited and supportive. And actually, Belfast was one of the dates that I was going to be dialysing
Okay. Yeah.
at a Belfast hospital. And the dialysis team in Sheffield actually did all the homework for me and said, right, okay, so we've been in touch with Swansea and Belfast, and they can get you in. I was like, but it's got to be in the morning. It's got to be in the morning because I've got fucking, and they couldn't guarantee it. And that was another factor. I was like, well, if they can't get me in until mid-afternoon and I'm dialysing until like early evening,
Yeah.
I'm fucked for the gig.
Yeah.
And not only missing the gig, but also how dialysis makes me feel afterwards.
Yeah. It would.
There's no way I could fucking play, but
Yeah.
again, I'm like, I'm in denial. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And my wife, she's the one that's like, no, please, I'm telling you now, you can't do this. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm your number one fan and I'm your biggest advocate. And this is gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
And she was right. But
Well, it could have literally fucking killed you,
yeah,
like, you know.
yeah, it could have really fucked things up for me. But they, I said to the guys, look, just get another drummer.
Hmm.
I can't do it. And we went to the Manchester gig, and it was the first time I'd seen the Brujeria guys since North Carolina.
Yeah. What was that like?
And it was great. It was just like nothing had happened. I walked in the dressing room, and everyone was so pleased to see me, and they said how well I was looking.
Yeah.
Because the last time they saw me, I was 24 hours or less than 24 hours away from dying.
Yeah.
I look fucked. I mean, if you look at photos of me, you can really tell I'm sick.
Yeah.
So when I walked in the dressing room, all fucking, I dropped some weight. I'm with my fiance. And like, it was just magical. Jeff from Carcass was there.
Yeah.
There's a couple of the Napalm guys were there. It was just like all the bros. And that's when Brujo said, oh, you've got to get up and play a couple of songs.
Yeah.
So I played Brujerismo and Matanahueros, the last two songs.
Class.
And then we wasn't going to go to London. And then the wife said, oh, let's go to London. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So we went down to London. And of course, that's the last time I got to see Brujo and Peach alive.
I was going to say, yeah, man, that's fucking like.
And it was really heartbreaking because I remember the last time, as they're leaving London, I think they were going off to the continent, and it was outside the underworld. If you ever been there,
No, I haven't, but I know of it. Yeah.
So the van's parked by the side of the club, and I just remember, John Brujo gave me a huge hug and said, "I love you, Governor." Fucking, we always call each other Governor. Just look after yourself and get that new kidney.
Yeah.
We need you back. And Peach as well. Peach was sick at the time.
Okay.
And I said to my wife, I said, fuck, like, I'm really worried about Peach. And he really looked sick and he was still smoking weed. And,
Yeah.
like, it really looked painful for him. And I just remember hugging him, telling him, I love him. And that's the last time I got to see them both alive.
That's so fucking
unfortunately.
Horrible. But at least after worrying about how you get kind of worried that you'd let them down, in that
Yeah.
situation that you get, that there was no fucking ill will there at all, and that was
No,
all
not
resolved,
at
and
all.
you got to tell them you love them, and
Yeah, and
it's
it's at the end of the day, we're family.
yeah,
I've known those guys like over half of my life.
yeah,
I've been in Brujeria on and off. It's the
yes,
longest band I've ever been in.
yeah,
Since 1999.
yeah,
So there's a lot of history. And we know we've seen the world together.
yeah,
And when you travel the world with the same set of people for so many years, it's more than friendship. It's like family. It
it
really,
is, yeah,
and unfortunately, they're no longer with us. And then I was dealt with the fucking devastating blow last September. Tompa
Pampa,
passed away
yeah,
too. And that really hit me and Shane really hard.
yeah,
And Anton as well,
of course, yeah,
because we were so tight. And like the camaraderie in lockup. I mean, we'd just be in the van cranking fucking Show No Mercy like loud,
yeah, yeah,
singing along the words and quoting Tom Araya.
yeah,
How many of you are into older women?
ah,
you
man, but
know,
it's like such. I was thinking about this all week because I knew I was talking to you and listening to all those records and monster albums. The legacy of
yeah,
all those guys that you just mentioned, and uh Stuart too, and
yeah,
Jesse
yeah.
and Jesse as well. Do you know what
Jesse,
I mean? A lot of
yeah,
kind of a lot of fallen brothers, but like so what you've left
yeah.
behind, fucking. And this is going to sound very very cliche and trite, but it lives forever. Do you know what I mean? Because
It
that's
really does.
something that you guys were able to give to the rest of us. And it's
It really
yeah,
does. And I've heard and seen podcasts with Stuart, and he's got nothing but good things to say about me.
yeah,
You know, it was a pleasure working with Nick, and he's a very musical drummer, and really it was beautiful. And it's just he was such a talented guy. It's just a shame he's not here anymore, and it's a shame
yeah,
that Cradle of Filth jaded him.
yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It
It's true
really,
because he vanished. I know he did
yeah,
some work, and I think he was teaching as well, maybe
yeah,
guitar.
yeah. And he had a guitar shop down in Devon.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And Cradle
But
of Filth just totally fucked his head. Like I'm done with the music industry. It's fucking bullshit.
I was watching the BBC show this week. With the young kid whose mom and sister went on tour with
Oh
with
yeah,
with you
yeah.
guys.
Oh, that
And I
fucking
wanted to
thing.
talk to you about that. But first thing I wanted to say about it was just like seeing Stuart in it. It's probably the first time I'd watched any footage of him since he
Yeah,
died. And it's just like me, obviously I didn't know him, but you build these connections to musicians when you're young and stuff. And
sure.
it just broke my heart watching him. Like having to duck his head when he walks through the door, this big mop of curls
Oh
over
yeah, yeah. I
over
mean,
over his kind of permanently miserable face, through clouds of smoke. And I just,
oh yeah.
there's a moment where, because you could see the really interesting thing about that documentary is you're not in it until the end. And I kind of got the impression that you had either
Oh,
asked to not to just to
I
stay out of the way,
fucking,
or
I did not want to be a part of it.
because you're
I'll
there whenever they first appear
yeah,
backstage, and you
yeah,
look so uncomfortable. And you can see that the two sides of Danny and Les are both trying to wind them up in different ways. Les is being very very direct about it, and burping and coughing and swearing in a way
yes,
it's on brand for Les, it seems to be. Whereas
totally.
Danny's trying to sort of, kind of take the high ground, but I don't think it really washes, to be honest
No,
with you. I don't believe it.
no, no. The public schoolboy thing doesn't really
Yeah,
work.
very very much. And then there's poor Stuart stuck in that tiny little camper van,
Oh, I know.
listening to them talk their bullshit, and he can just about contain his fury at how inconsequential it all is. And he's completely separate from, you removed yourself, and the other two
Yeah,
guys kind of engaged in it in their different ways. And he just can't be bothered. I just thought he looked so fucking cool. And yeah, like you said, so talented. And just it's a shame it the filth kind of killed him off, really. As
yeah,
a
yeah.
he should have been a major player for years after
Absolutely,
that.
absolutely. Well, the whole thing with that fucking BBC thing was like, you'll know yourself. Anytime there's any kind of like serious documentary about heavy metal or whatever.
Yeah.
It's always they always make a mockery of it,
Uh-huh.
like, and it's really like fucking like bullshit the way they do it, like the
Yeah.
media, like they mock it, they kind of look down their nose at it like it's inferior and like, oh,
Yeah.
well, the fans are like fucking stupid and like,
Hmm.
it's not real music and like half of the fucking fans have got like fucking university degrees and fucking,
Hmm.
it's like they just think everyone's like some fucking caveman knuckle dragger,
Yeah.
and it's like so unfair. And I just find that anytime there's been any kind of like TV thing regarding metal, they just make a mockery of it and take the piss
Hmm.
in like this underlying fucking sneaky way, and I didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it did great for the band.
Yes.
It was fucking stupid.
How did it
You,
get? I mean, do you know
you know,
how it came about? Was the band approached, or did the band float the idea? Because there's a scene
no,
early
so
on where Faye is being interviewed about it, and she's like up in arms. Um, like, like the band doesn't like this, and the band doesn't like this, and I was kind of watching it, and I had the sneaky suspicion, But obviously, you've okayed all of this. You know the promotion that the publicity the
yeah,
band's
well,
going to get off it.
so here's the thing. So the BBC, it was either going to be Cradle of Filth or Insane Clown Posse,
All right. Okay.
right? And because we were a British band,
Hmm.
and obviously I think Music for Nations greased a few fucking palms.
Yeah.
We got the gig, but like because it's BBC, they wanted to set up cameras, like Big Brother on the tour bus.
Aye.
But it was like no profanity, no drugs, no swearing, no nudity, and
Yeah.
like what the fuck then?
Yeah.
Oh, and we couldn't play music because of copyright issues.
Right. Okay.
So it's like
But what?
it's
Yeah.
fucking
What would they be
stupid.
getting out of that? Yeah.
Why would you want to document a band if you don't want us to be ourselves?
Yeah.
And it was like all these fucking rules and like no, 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 and it was just fucking bullshit. Like there was this like BBC wanker producer,
Hmm.
that just didn't get it, whatever. And that, like I said, like, they just take the piss. Like they
Yeah.
make a mockery of it. They approach it with like looking down their nose at you, like you're less than them.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not me. But I mean, in terms of promotion, I mean, it didn't do the band any harm.
It certainly wouldn't have. No. I mean, when you think about it, like, really, at what phase in the Cradle of Filth machine is this? Has Danny Filth, has he started being referred to as Danny Filth at this stage?
Um,
Because that
it
came
was
about
around
at a
that,
certain
yeah,
stage, didn't it? Like there was a
it
point
was
where
around
it
that
was,
time.
yeah,
It was around that time, and management, like I say, when management came in,
hmm,
they didn't look at the band as a collective. They were like, they looked at him and like, well, we could market him as like, the UK's Marilyn Manson or Rob Zombie, and maybe if he called himself Danny Filth,
yeah.
and like, oh, the rest of the band, well, they're just expendable assets,
It's the Aussie model, isn't it, Nick? Like
It
every couple of
totally is.
years, the
It
lineup
totally
changes and
is.
you get
And
great record. Did you watch the Back to the Beginning? Is that what it was called?
I did, yeah.
How'd you find it?
After Ozzy passed,
Hmm.
kind of felt sad,
Yeah.
and I said to the missus, like, if we were in England still, we should have gone to that.
Yeah.
But like, I think I don't know if it was like because it was live, but like there was so many like dead spots, Jake Lee comes on stage and his fucking guitar's not plugged in, and
Yeah.
like you know what I mean. And
Hmm.
Nuno Betancourt played most of the stuff when I think Jake Lee should have got a bigger shot,
Yes. Yeah.
and like the fact that Bob Daisley wasn't invited, or Lee Kerslake had passed by then, but I mean
But
Tommy
there
Aldridge.
was bad blood with Bob. It was Bob Disley he'd been replaced, hadn't he? Whenever those
Yeah,
albums are reissued, I think
yeah,
he probably would have.
but also Rudy Zarzo wasn't involved either.
Yeah.
And they were all integral figures in Ozzy's early career.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Tommy Aldridge, he played on Bark at the Moon.
Yeah. Oh, you were a big fan of his, weren't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's kind of weird, but I mean, like the whole thing with like young blood and shit like that. I mean,
I didn't see
I
that. I
guess
mean,
I guess
yeah, I
they're
didn't watch.
I guess they're appealing to younger people to like draw in like young fans, like the
Hmm.
new generation.
Yeah.
I mean, me being like an old 50-year-old miserable twat now,
Hmm.
it's like no fucking Tommy Aldridge, this is bullshit,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know. And
Uh,
but it was sad to see Aussie struggling,
it was,
you
yeah.
know.
At the same
And
time,
and Bill
yeah,
Ward too. Like Bill looked like he was struggling as well.
he did, yeah.
But,
Especially up there on stage with Geezer,
yeah,
just fucking killing it like he
yeah,
always has done, But I was really happy for Bill. I didn't like the way that Black Sabbath ended without had previously had ended without Bill. It was nice to see the four of them,
yes,
even in the capacity of, in Ozzy's case, literally being wheeled out. It
yeah,
it was nice. It was nice just as four men, four old
yeah.
friends, from
I
Aston,
mean,
just getting up there and having
for
that,
it to for it to be in Birmingham, which as you
Yeah.
know is the birthplace of heavy metal,
Hmm.
you know, um, and at the Villa ground. I mean, it it would have been great to have been there. I mean, the atmosphere must have been amazing, and
I'd say so.
it was so like moving, knowing that this is it now for Ozzy. He's
Yeah.
done. When he
Well,
did "Mama, I'm Coming Home,"
yeah.
you see, I don't think there was a dry eye in the house.
Well, what was it? Was it less than 2 weeks after that, I think,
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
passed
because
away? Yeah.
we were in Canada, we were over here, and I remember I took my wife to work, and one of her co-workers came out going, "Oh my God, Ozzy Osbourne's dead," and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Fuck," but thinking about it, he got to fulfill his last wish,
Yeah.
and for a man that he probably knew he was dying,
Hmm.
I mean, we probably knew that he didn't have too much longer left,
Yeah.
and for him to like go out like that, it was good. I mean, overall, it was an amazing event.
Yeah, even if you just think of it from the perspective of the amount of love that was directed at that
Yeah,
man at that time,
and
no
and the
matter how
city
well
of Birmingham
he, yeah,
too. Like the
yeah,
city of Birmingham, like his funeral procession, like you'd think it was like fucking royalty or something.
yeah, yeah,
Well, he is. I mean, he's heavy metal royalty.
yeah,
But I mean, the outpouring of love, and when the hearse came through, like Birmingham, it was beautiful.
yeah.
I mean,
It was nice to see. You can't really get much better than,
no, and
for
for a man that,
for an industry that claims so many, you know.
yeah, and for a man that, I mean, like in his younger years, he was a fucking lunatic. He was always in the tabloids, and
Yeah,
religious groups, like hated him, and like he was just like the madman of rock and roll, wasn't he?
he was, yeah.
You know,
Um, and also, it's a shame like the TV show was very happy to paint him into this kind of cartoon figure,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he said silly things and he did silly things. But like if you watch him in any of those old interviews, even from around about that time, outside of the context of that show, he was
yeah.
fucking funny. He was sharp. Do you know
Oh,
what I mean?
he's hilarious.
Yeah, he was.
I read a lot of autobiographies,
Hmm.
and the Aussie, I Am Aussie.
Yes.
You know, when you read, if you've ever read it, it's fucking brilliant. You should check it out.
Yeah, I
But
will
when
do.
you're reading it and you're reading like the anecdotes, you can actually hear his voice
Yeah.
saying it to you in because it's written just how he would say it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You know, like so fucking, it's hilarious.
Well, here that brings us very tidily onto Mr. Barker's book. How are you getting on
Yes,
with that?
yeah, I'm doing good. My good friend Dale Patterson, he's writing, is ghost writing it with me.
Okay.
So we're just discussing, you know, eras and certain things, and who I jammed with, and this and that. So it's coming together.
Yeah.
It's a lot to remember, though.
I'd say so. Yeah.
I keep going back and like, oh fuck, I forgot that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's going to be a question of like, once we've got everything down, we're just going to have to figure out what are the best juicy bits.
Yeah.
But
I
I don't want it
definitely.
to be, I said this before in other podcasts. I
Hmm.
don't want it to be just another generic fucking show and tell, sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing. I
Like
want,
the dirt or something like that.
yeah, I want
Yeah.
it to, yeah, exactly. I want it to be about, like, I didn't have a very good childhood.
Okay.
Music was my escape. and drums, just, yeah, I knew straight away this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I was just so, even as a teenager, when the fucking stepdad was telling me I'm a piece of shit and, it's not real fucking music and,
Fuck that.
stop being a fucking daydreamer, get a
Yeah.
real job. And, I was just like, no, this is fuck everyone. This is me.
Hmm.
I'm doing this and nothing's going to stop me and no one's going to get in my way.
Yeah.
And, that to like, how even my high school band, my high school thrash band,
Hmm.
we got to open up for like Zentrix and Reanimator and Lawnmower
Yeah.
Down. Later on, we played with Bolt Thrower, at Chesterfield College.
Was that Monolith, was it?
No, this is my high school thrash band,
Oh, even what was
Insanity. Yeah,
what were they called?
before
Sorry.
Systematic Insanity.
Okay. Yeah.
And this was way before Monolith. This was like
Okay.
high
Yeah.
school. And, it just evolved from thrash into death metal and then from death metal into black metal and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to focus on, how I came up, like the struggles, my personal struggles with depression and my weight,
Yes. Yeah.
and also, getting ripped off, making a fuck ton of money, getting ripped off,
Yeah.
and vice versa,
Yeah.
getting married, having kids, getting divorced,
Hmm.
the whole
You've
like
got it.
roller.
You've got all the pieces
Yeah,
of a good reader there. Like, yeah.
yeah, like I wanted to reflect my personal life as well as my professional life,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and anyway, bro, my battery is gonna die, and I don't want to get cut off
No,
before we wrap
that's
this up.
well.
So,
Listen, thank you very much. I've enjoyed
no,
talking
it's
to
been a
you
pleasure.
very
It
much.
really has. It's been an
Um,
absolute pleasure.
if you ever you want to do it again, if you've anything more,
Well,
if
when the
any,
book drops,
yeah,
we'll do one when the book drops, so we can discuss the book.
100%. Yeah, I'd really look forward
Well,
to that. If you need, like, listen, I've just edited a book, on, funny enough, on mental health for metalheads, written by
okay,
a nurse, who's taken an
right.
interest in it. So,
I'd
by
like
all
to
means,
read
yeah,
that.
that's coming out in August. James Neeson is the author, and
I'd like to read that.
yeah, it's excellent. It's coming out, so keep
Yeah.
your eyes peeled. But yeah, if you ever need a friendly pair of eyes to take a look at the book, I'd be
Thank you.
glad to do it.
Thank you.
100%.
And
And
I'm going to do the audio book for it too.
brilliant. Yes.
Yeah. So, I know that's a big thing, and a lot of people prefer audiobooks now rather than reading print. People get it more when they hear me telling the
Yeah.
story, and. But listen, bro, my battery's going to die. I don't want to cut you off,
Yeah.
but I'd rather we wrap it up before
Of course.
it takes a shit,
I appreciate it. Listen, Nick, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be directing everybody to the GoFundMe page, and
Thank you.
we're all thinking about you, all of us fans. We
Thank
love
you
you,
so
Nick.
much. It really
Thank you
means
so
a
much.
lot. It really means a lot. I'm truly humbled by everyone's love and support. It really means so much to me.
And listen, before we go, last quick thing I wanted to say is, since this thing came into my possession some
Oh,
20
nice.
plus years ago, you are my favorite musician on the planet, Nicholas Barker. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for
It's
giving
been a
me so much of
pleasure.
your time. Thank you.
Take care, Paul. Have a good one, mate.
All the best. Same to you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.